Identical twin sister state that the man who raised you recently shocked you when he announced that he is not your biological father. You've petitioned the court for a paternity test because you believe finances are motivating your alleged father's claims. Your statement to the court counters that you know for sure the plaintiff's father is a white man and you are not.
Mr. Eglon admits he always doubted he was their dad.
Knowing from the start, I knew they wasn't mine, but something overcame me that...
You knew their mother?
Yes, I did. I was coming home one day and she was in the backyard barbecuing, and I noticed this big, beautiful smile, big breasts. And,
notice those, huh?
Yeah, and the big cheeseburgers on the grill.
Mr. Eglon didn't act like a dad. No new shoes, no structure, and no allowance after their mom died.
I was never able to buy 2 pair of Nikes, 2 cell phones, 2 this, 2 this.
You didn't buy anything.
Okay. So now I get punished because I'm not money worthy, to keep them happy. Keep them happy. If I cherish them with money, it'd be a whole new different ballgame. Cooking them dinner every day. I'm making sure they come home and do their homework, but that's not good.
But that's not good enough. A cousin shows up claiming their mom had a sugar daddy.
But he's talking about a white man that actually, I don't know how to word it, but I want to say he was like her job. He didn't care if she was pregnant. He would have sent her money just because that's what they do. That was his purpose of being there. She didn't just call one. He sent money often. Exactly. Before she got pregnant, he was sending money.
And basically, I understand that this is something that he been fighting with himself and it's starting to hit him. So it's like...
So then that makes us figure, okay, then now we understand why you treated us like we was always
it's something that he hits from. He was in detail saying they came out and I seen them. So something came over my body saying, I'm going to be in these kids' life. They're going to need me one day.
You are their father. Mr. Rich,
go back up.
You came here to get an answer.
I have not called him lately.
I don't care, man.
That was a nice speech, but that's all it was, a speech.
Stop.
If Leanne could have had it her way, and now one of us know.
At the end of the day, you're a liar. I've been telling you this since I was pregnant. I've been telling you I need a DNA test since I was pregnant.
Judge Lake talks to Miss Holan like a tough but caring aunt, calling out her mistake.
Gone wrong, and you've also allowed us to see a little piece of what your real heart is. You think we don't know you are confused and just out there riding on a wing and a prayer? I'm here with you and for you.
It's just when it seems like things might calm down. Miss Holman drops the bomb.
You tell me about these other possible fathers.
Well, just like with Mr. Rich, I told him I didn't remember whether we were together around the time of September, which was around his birthday time. Mr. Matthews was the same thing. The only difference with this is Mr. Rich knew about him. Mr. Rich did not know about Matt.
Mr. Matthews shows up cool and admits he could be the dad casually mentioning. He went to doctor appointments with Miss Holman.
Yes, ma'am. And I was taking her to a couple of her doctor's appointment for the baby.
Do you want to be her biological father?
I mean, if I am, I'll accept it as my own, because I don't think our friendship will never end.
So you also are in love with Miss Holman?
To a certain extent, yeah.
Ms. Holman...
Granted, have I been with all 3 of these men? Yes. How do you know there's only these 3 men? Because I gave them these 3 men names. This is my truth. Here it is. It's ugly. Now I'm trying to get to the bottom of it.
Exactly.
None of them would be here if you were sure.
None of us would be here. None of us had multiple sex partners, bro. Let he who is without sin cast the first stone. How many sins you got, bro? We're here for
every day. We wake up and we have to remind ourselves, you worth it. I slept with this guy on Thursday. You still worth it. I slept with this guy on Friday. You still worth it. I came up short over here. You're still worth it. You hear me? Mr. Drumgold, you are the father.
Exactly.
Ms. Manship, at the age of 10, you were shocked and devastated to learn that your dad was not your biological father. That began your 20-year search to find the man your mother claims is your father. After your exhaustive search, find him, you came up with nothing.
Imagine looking for someone with nothing but a name and one old photo. That's exactly what Miss Manship did after her mom told her who her real dad.
She sat me down. She had one picture. This is the one picture that she gave me that I've had for the past 20 years. I just look at it. She says, this is who your father is. He was the only other person I was with. He's the only one that it could be. We had a place where we hung out when we were younger, and I would stop a police officer and I'd say, how do you go about searching for...
She hit up old school Yahoo chat rooms. Yep, back in the day, people searched.
I would go do people searches online. Back whenever they had like the Yahoo chat rooms, the state that she told me he was from, which was Little Rock, Arkansas, I would go in there and I'd mention his name name, say, you know, does anybody know this man? I believe he is my father, and nobody ever had any information they could give me. We even went back
and
to where
all you had to go on was this photo you
the
had?
one picture and the one name.
Picture and the one name. Imagine sitting down one day and boom, someone tells you might have a kid.
And it's the first time you heard about her.
When the court contacted me just recently.
You never knew she existed.
No, Your Honor.
But you did have a relationship with Ms. Lutman.
Yes, Your Honor.
You remember that. This you in this photo.
Yes, Your Honor.
So we know we at least have the right Mr. Lau.
The teens. I've searched everywhere. I've searched online. I've asked people, and I've never had a response from anybody in the past 20 years. Nobody has ever given me even a single detail of where he's from or where he lives, if he has any family. I don't know anything.
And you've never gotten one lead?
No.
After that, maybe after a couple of months, we had rented an apartment. I knew
Were you boyfriend and girlfriend?
Yes, Your Honor. And I believe she had she had told me she had 3 kids and that she was about 12 years older than I was, about her ex-boyfriend not being happy about it. We kept it amicable, and then at one point in time, I'm not sure how it happened, but he had burned all my clothes up in the fireplace. I didn't believe it. I figured it probably was a mistake, mainly because the fact that she knew quite a few people. I mean, she had a lot of male friends and been married 4 times. First marriage was 12 years and I didn't have any children. Second marriage was 2 years, still no children.
Mr. Lau, you are the father.
I'm so sorry. Oh my God.
I appreciate the fact that you crossed the aisle and made an apology. You all have been through a lot. You all lost someone very near and dear.
Ms. Nesbitt is taking Mr. Henderson to court to prove he's the dad of her 7-month-old daughter, Diane. She's confident and says when the test results come back, she expects Mr. Henderson to step up and be a proper father. Mr. Henderson, though, thinks it's straightforward. He claims Ms. Nesbitt was unfaithful with a neighbor around the time Diane was conceived and believes the neighbor, Zion, is actually the biological father. Let's begin by looking at some of Ms. Nesbitt's problems with Mr. Henderson.
Well, he buy her diapers, that's about it. He doesn't do anything for my child, but buy her diapers. He does more for my 2-year-old son that he knows that's not his, than his own daughter.
Ms. Nesbitt has another son from before she met Mr. Henderson. It seems Mr. Henderson treats this older son better than the child Ms. Nesbitt claims is his. That's some backward thinking, right? Why look after a kid you know isn't yours and neglect the one who might?
I feel that I shouldn't have to take care of another man's baby.
But you are taking care of another man's baby, right?
Yes, but at this time, I came into this baby's life and I already knew he wasn't mine, but I had a possibility that she could have been mine, but she's not, so I felt kind of hurt. So
there's a level of resentment.
It's obvious Mr. Henderson is acting this way because he's bitter about Ms. Nesbitt cheating during their marriage. It gets even messier when you consider that Mr. Henderson claims he supported Ms. Nesbitt all through her pregnancy with Diane. He even signed the birth certificate without her permission.
So wait, you had asked him previously not to sign it?
Yes, Your Honor.
So Mr. Henderson, you did sign the birth certificate?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you remember having the conversation with Ms. Nesbitt that said?
So it's pretty clear cut why at one point Mr. Henderson wanted Diane to be his daughter, but in the past 7 months, he changed his mind and stopped caring for her altogether. Ms. Nesbitt says the only reason he signed the birth certificate was to eventually gain custody of Diane. But if he signed it, why isn't he taking care of her now?
Come on, Your Honor, I can't be no man that's taking care of another man's baby.
Okay, now I want to understand that, your doubt. Because what it sounds like to me is you were at the hospital and you were really trying to convince yourself that this was your child.
Yes, Your Honor.
And signing the birth certificate was a way for you to say, stay in with this family, I'm going to make a family, I'm going to be here, I'm going to...
Mr. Henderson claims he stopped taking care of Diane because Ms. Nesbitt told him the baby isn't his, but belongs to their neighbor, Mr. Brown. That's pretty intriguing, considering she's in court now trying to prove Diane is actually Mr. Henderson's child.
Well, let me tell you how it all began. He had sex with his cousin, and, you know...
Yes, I did, but that was before her.
She said that she had sex with my little black car and they had a baby.
Before that, when you were sitting in the car with your friend, when y'all left from the Riverwalk.
No, that's not true. You got her pregnant.
Yes, it is. It's true, Your Honor.
Wait a second. It gets a lot worse than you can imagine, but that still doesn't answer the question. Why does Ms. Nesbitt think this child isn't Mr. Henderson's?
Well, I doubt it because we was having unprotected sex for a year straight, and all of a sudden I had sex one time with Mr. Brown, and I ended up getting pregnant 2 weeks later.
Basically, she's saying she doubted Mr. Henderson was the father because they'd been together for for a year without getting pregnant. Meanwhile, she was intimate with Mr. Brown once, and soon after, she found out she was pregnant. Now, let's hear Mr. Brown's side of the story.
But you did have a sexual encounter with her.
Yeah, one time.
It's like birthday sex, that was about it.
It wasn't more that she used to always hit me up and text me and all that stuff. I used to text her.
It's been going on longer than that. It was more than one night.
It was just birthday sex, that was
It was just one night only, but we used to always text and stuff like that. I used to hit her up with different females' names because he used to be around, so I'd be like, this Nancy, and she'd text back like LOL, you know what I'm saying?
Now that's really messed up. Can you imagine being in Mr. Henderson's shoes right now? Listening to your partner talk about cheating on you on live TV is absolutely wild.
We had sex the one time?
Just that one night on her birthday when her and him got
the protection broke?
I don't remember protection broke. I was buzzing a little bit, but I don't remember no protection broke. You know what I'm saying? Reminds you, I just came to the comfort of that one night because we was chilling, you know what I'm saying? When I was massaging, my hands led to other places, and you know what happened after that.
Now that's even worse. Ms. Nesbitt is really something for doing that to her husband. When she got pregnant, she told both men they might be the father. Mr. Brown is convinced the baby isn't his. He's so sure he brings baby pictures of himself and asks if he even looks like baby Diane. But that doesn't prove anything.
Look anything like you, in your opinion?
Nothing like. One day she had told me she didn't want to take the first. She was always asking like, do you mind taking a test? I'm like, yeah. Then one day she called, text me like, you don't need to take no test because I know it's his baby.
No, you.
I guess she didn't want to hurt
Your
his
Honor,
feelings.
he's the one that called me.
So wait.
Now the judge has had enough of this drama. Let's get to the bottom of it. Who is baby Diane's father? Mr. Brown or Mr. Henderson?
Are not her father.
Oh!
Okay, sit down, Mr. Brown. Your name rhymes with clown, but you're not gonna clown today. Just calm down. Calm down. Mr. Henderson, you are her father.
Miss Kavanaugh faked a pregnancy and kept the lie going for weeks. She had a really elaborate way of doing it too. After all that deceit, the paternity test results completely shocked her. Here's how it all unfolded.
Miss Kavanaugh, you and your mother are appearing in court today to prove paternity of your 3-week-old son, Malcolm. Now, you claim his biological father is Mr. Bowles, even though you admit to being intimate with another man, Mr. McElliott, during the window of conception.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, he's waiting outside of the courtroom, and he'll be joining us shortly.
Mr. Bowes goes on to shoot himself in the leg. He says that he had never seen the 3-week-old Malcolm before today. Regardless of this, he claims that Malcolm is not his biological baby. How can one even tell if this is the first time he's seeing the baby? This is an interesting question, especially since Miss Kavanaugh keeps insisting that the baby belongs to Mr. Bowes.
I believe Mr. Bowles is my son's father. Even though we wasn't in a committed relationship, we had unprotected sex frequently, and he has not been around. He doesn't ask about my son. He probably didn't even know my son's name was Malcolm until now. And I'm just ready to prove that he is the father because my son doesn't have a voice, so I'm his voice.
There's one other person in question, and their sexual intimacy was only once, and with Mr. Bowles.
Miss Kavanaugh's mother seems to be more involved in all of this than Miss Kavanaugh herself even. Although Mr. Bowes admits to being intimate with Miss Kavanaugh a couple of times, here is the reason why he is 100% sure about the paternity of baby Malcolm.
Actually, when we first met the first night, we had sex of being in her house.
It wasn't within 20 minutes.
Then, like, probably 3 weeks later, maybe 2 weeks later, I found like an open condom wrapper in her bathroom.
Well,
she had already said that
just because
like, I was the only person she was having sex with,
and then the condom that he's talking about, it was my friend's that I worked with. Her and her boyfriend spent the night, and that was that.
She said she used it. She said it was with her ex.
Well, oh well. Now it'll seem like Mr. Bowes is getting quite paranoid and has started to believe things that didn't happen. On to Miss Kavanaugh. She went on to explain that the first person she told about her pregnancy was Mr. Bowes. She did this simply because she wanted to be in a committed relationship with him, but he did not respect her. All these feelings led her to be intimate with Mr. McElliott.
About my feelings. So yes, I did have one encounter with Mr. McElliott, but I felt like I wanted to do that to make him jealous because I want him to see that somebody else wants me and maybe he would want me.
This is where Mr. Bowes spills the tea about how Miss Kavanaugh actually lied about being pregnant. They saw one another every day, and she was getting very infatuated with the young man. However, he was not giving her the attention she wanted. This is when she took the initiative.
I went to the store, got a pregnancy test, was going to take 2 negatives, turn it into a positive, and when, yes.
Take 2 negatives and turn it into a positive?
Yes, crack them open and turn them into a positive.
Oh, and put 2 of the lines together. So you had a plan to pretend you were pregnant in order to keep him. And then what happened?
Well, I took both of the tests, Your Honor, and I went to go eat, and I came back and they were both positive.
What a woman. It's interesting that anyone would even think about that. When Mr. Bowes heard about the pregnancy, he did not believe her at first, considering that she was just planning to lie to him about something so crazy. That's a man that truly knows the woman he's with, if you ask me. He added that he did not trust her because he knew that she was intimate with other men, also saying that it's not just one other man she was with, but a bunch of others.
I didn't want to have sex anymore until we were in a committed relationship. We fell asleep because I was tired. He wakes me up at 3 o'clock in the morning and tells me he's going to go have sex with another woman.
What?
Yeah, so
you wake her up to tell her that?
We wasn't together, so I can leave and go back to my house and do whatever.
And yes, I did chase him out of my house because I don't see why you would. Any woman. Any woman.
Turns out Mr. Bowes is not an angel after all. He said that to her in her first month of pregnancy. Isn't that something? Regardless of all of this, Miss Kavanaugh still has feelings for Mr. Bowes, which is utterly mind-boggling as it is. After a lot of banter, we finally get to meet the second potential father, Mr. McElliott.
Miss Kavanaugh, I would say, is a very special one. Me and her, we met, we hooked up and went out to eat or something like that. But ever since...
So you took her on dates and courted her and treated her like a lady should be treated?
Always.
Good.
That was definitely a jab in Mr. Bowes' general direction. Mr. McElliott found out about the pregnancy from a picture of an ultrasound Miss Kavanaugh sent, which she insists looks like his mother. What an interesting turn of events. Looks like truly we have two possible fathers in court today.
Who do you think he looks like?
I want to say Mr. Bowles, but you can't always go on looks. But I just have I have a feeling. I would be very pleased and very happy if it was Mr. McElliott's because he would be a good father. But I just don't know.
Do you?
The new guy, Mr. Model Man McElliott, added that sure, he signed the birth certificate, but he did that only because the whole paternity thing was beginning to stress him out. It was stressful on Miss Kavanaugh as well. And that made it easier for him to sign it because he absolutely does not mind starting a family with her. However, it gets better. Mr. McElliott spills the beans and shares this with the court.
Third party or something that was included in this?
Yes.
Okay.
That's true, Your Honor.
Oh, nah, it's true.
That's true, Your Honor.
A third party?
Yes, Your Honor.
Please elaborate on the third party.
It was a very drunken night, and it was a one-night stand.
Do you remember whether you used protection or not?
No. That's why I think it may be another person, but I'm not quite sure.
Whoa, so there really is a third man involved in all of this? What a woman. And what a drunken night that must have been. After this little reveal, the funniest conversation ensues in court. It would seem like Miss Kavanaugh's mother does not understand whose court she just stepped into, really.
That's something I don't understand, though. Men like yours having sex solo, but I just don't understand why people can't.
Well, since we want to go to school, let me take you there. Bear the children, meaning they can orbit in uncertainty indefinitely, not knowing whether or not they're the father, when we know for certain and we are responsible. And that's the difference we have to teach our young girls.
Judge Lake put Miss Kavanaugh and her mother in the school bus, took them to school, and brought them back to paternity court in just about 5 minutes. Oh, they are not done one bit. There's so much more to be said.
Her daughter learned was a very valuable lesson. Who are you going to lay down with, right? And look, you cannot baby or trick him into having his baby.
And I never said that she could.
I've seen that. It's true. Look, these aren't lessons just that your daughter has to learn. A lot of women in this courtroom had to learn it. You got to respect yourself.
After so much bickering in court today, the results are out and we all get to hear it. Everyone is on the edge of their seats as we're all trying to figure out who the father of baby Malcolm is. Could it be the cold-hearted Mr. Bowes, Mr. Nice Guy McElliott, or Mr. What's-His-Name third-party drunk encounter? There's just one way to find out.
Mr. McElliott, you are not his father. Mr. Bowles, you are not his father. Calm down.
It's time time to meet Ms. Brogdon, our main character. She's in court today to figure out who the father of her daughter is. 1-year-old Quamira has not had a father figure in family to call her own, and this upsets Ms. Brogdon so much, it brought her to paternity court. The suspected father, Tyrell Jones, is unfortunately deceased. His family is in court alongside Ms. Brogdon. However, there's a delicious twist in the story. Look at this.
I don't think that's my brother's baby. I don't.
Why?
Tamisha, first of all, slept with 2 of my brothers. So that's what...
She slept with
2 of my brothers.
2 of them?
2 of my brothers.
And that's true, Ms. Brogdon?
Yes, Your Honor.
But you're in court saying that just Tyrell is your daughter's father.
Yes.
If you slept with the other brother too,
Yes.
could he potentially be the child's father too?
No, Your Honor. I heard otherwise.
You did? What did you hear, Ms. Sugden?
Oh, so that happened. She slept with 2 brothers, and there's a possibility that either of them could be the father. I mean, with all of this going on, one can say that Ms. Brogdon was really put in the family way. That's not all there is to the story. When asked why she decided to reach out after a full year, seeing that baby Quamira is 1 year old, here is what Ms. Brogdon had to say.
It's hard. My baby had a seizure. She been sick. Didn't have a job since I have her. Like, I have no help at all.
And this is really difficult for you to raise her alone.
One would think that if you had 4 kids at 25 with no job and no form of financial support, getting a 5th child would not exactly be a priority. But my, oh my, here we are. Tyrell's sister is one of the women in court today, and she insists that the baby does not belong to Tyrell or any of her brothers, in fact. She goes on to add that Ms. Brogdon needs to move on away from their family to find her daughter's real father. According to her, all of this stress is preventing her own mother from healing after the tragic loss of her son.
Yes.
You were? Mm-hmm. Explain to me the nature of that relationship.
Me and Tyrell, we were together for like 3 years. Like close to the end, Tyrell started cheating. He started staying out. He started doing all this type of stuff. It was one night, Tyrell lied and said he was at the police district. He wasn't there. I went to his grandmother's house where he said he was there.
What an absolute joke. So she'd been in a relationship with the deceased for 3 years. However, one night he's not available and he's unresponsive to her calls. Then she happens to have some alcohol and decides to sleep with his own brother simply because he was available. Oh, Paul Jones. What was the brother even thinking? Perhaps Paul wasn't thinking at all.
End up, you're dating this guy, and then you sleep with his brother just for the anger?
Yes.
And so you did it to get back at him?
I've been through a whole lot with Tyrell out of the 3 years. It was not just him lying and staying the night out. No, it's more than that.
Ms. Sugden, you're saying you've heard personally that she was sleeping with 2 brothers around the same time?
Yes.
Tyrell's sister, Ms. Sugden, further responded to this, saying that although she accepts the possibility of either brother being the father, one thing still stands. This thing being that the entire family hates her now because she slept with 2 brothers. Ms. Brogdon tore their family apart as Tyrell and Paul kept at each other's throats until the end. Now Paul is living with guilt, knowing that he slept with his deceased brother's girlfriend, and he was so upset about getting a paternity test done. What a guy.
When she called me and said she had the baby, Tiara was at my house. I said, Tiara, she had the baby, want to go? Oh, what I'm going to the hospital for?
Why didn't Mish call? Why is she going through you all the time? She's a grown woman.
You're right. Why did she go through me? But
y'all going through you about every single
y'all
thing.
hate me.
What a ruckus in court today. After she had the baby, Ms. Brogdon called another of Tyrell's baby mamas. Looks like Deanna and Ms. Brogdon may be quite close considering that she came to court as her witness. Deanna told Tyrell's sister about the baby and she absolutely refused to come to the hospital and get a paternity test done. There's another witness in court today, Tiara Jones, the second sister of Tyrell. Oh, the things she has to say.
I was told not only from Ms. Chambers, but another mutual friend that she had another and not Tyrell Jones. So it's just a coincidence that both of their last name is Jones, but at first I heard that he was there.
Wait, there's another Jones in the picture? Well, okay, Ms. Brogdon, it looks like this woman has been working overtime to get her baby that last name. After all of the bickering from the women in court, we finally get the verdict, and this time it comes with a little twist.
Part of this testing is to determine whether or not either brother has fathered your child. The second level, if we make that determination, will be to determine which brother, in fact, fathered.
And it just makes sense, seeing that Tyrell isn't here. There are a lot of men involved with 2 brothers on that list, and a direct paternity test can't be done. Now everyone's on their toes, and it feels as though the tension in court can be cut through with a knife. Here are the results.
Christina Jones is related to Quamira Jones. Mr. Paul Jones is not the father. Tyrell Jones is Quamira's biological father.
The Ellis brothers have brought their mother to court today to find out who their real father is. They recently discovered that their mother, Ms. Shivers, had slept with both their father and his brother, meaning their uncle could actually be their biological father. Ms. Shivers admits to this and is in court to find out who fathered her boys and to ask for their forgiveness. What a situation.
We're at a family gathering, or just having some drinks or whatever, and Uncle Ronnie came up to me and said, "You know I'm your son. You know you my son, right?"
And it was basically like a family get-together. It was a family function.
Ms. Shivers confesses she slept with both brothers because there was nothing else to do and she had nowhere else to turn. In cases like this, one goes to the cathedral, Ms. Shivers. The next thing to do is not sleep with two brothers. Arthur Ellis, one of her sons, thinks he might be his uncle's child, and Eugene, his brother, agrees it's possible since they realize that their father treated Arthur differently while he was alive.
When I was in jail, but he wrote him, send him money, so that made me feel.
Unfortunately, we had to take a trip down the road, and my father, he wrote me more.
That's really cold. And it's true. Arthur Ellis deserves to know the truth. On the flip side, the man who could be Arthur's father, Ronnie Ellis, has always shown him more love than his actual supposed father. Eugene Ellis, on the other hand, is sure of his paternity.
And you look at my dad, if you had a full body shot of my dad, I'm slim like my dad. I'm built like my dad. My features like my dad. Arthur is big. He's a big guy right here. Uncle Ronnie is big. That's a big guy right there.
Well,
his hair is different from my hair. If we got the same dad.
Eugene might think he knows who his father is, but his mother has serious doubts. She's unsure about Eugene's real father, and he's finding this out live in paternity court.
I was married to another man before I left and went to Detroit, and that's when I got pregnant with Eugene, so.
Do you feel there are reasonable, credible doubts as it relates to Eugene as well?
Yes, Your Honor.
That's just unbelievable. Hopefully, Ronnie McClellan's testimony can clear things up and give a clearer picture of the Ellis brothers' paternity.
Young man could be your biological child.
My brother had put her and Eugene out, and they came back to Chicago and lived with me. And while they were living with me, she said we only had sex once with me. That's what she must have meant, you know?
But you remember.
Oh, boy.
Okay, so the potential father is between Ronnie McClellan and the now-departed John Ellis. Hopefully, there is no other potential father for Arthur Ellis at this point.
I met him when I was waitressing in the restaurant, and he ran a big hotel, and he also, gave me jobs and stuff. That's when Eugene was like about 4 or 5. We had a couple of little nights, where we had a few drinks, and we did have intimacy. He died.
Oops, and there we have it, folks. 3 potential fathers for Arthur Ellis and 2 potential fathers for Eugene Ellis. We are going to check the results for Eugene first.
John Ellis is your father.
I knew that. I knew that. I said that from the beginning. I knew that. Look at me.
Now let's check the results for Arthur and see whether Ronnie, John Ellis, or perhaps even Nick Cage might be his potential father.
John Ellis is your father.
I told you.
You hear me? I needed that.
I know, that's why I'm here.
I know it. I'm trying
This is wonderful. This is what we've been waiting on.
It was very hard to tell if Ms. Spruill and Mr. Dixon had a beautiful relationship, or if it was just a friends with benefits kind of thing. Ms. Spruill was furious that she had to come to court to prove that Mr. Dixon was the father of her 13-month-old child, when she knew for a fact that there was no other person who could be tagged as the father of the child.
Ms. Spruill, you are furious that you had to file a paternity case against the defendant, Mr. Dixon, due to his denial of your daughter, Skya. You say you know the exact night you conceived, and he is her father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Dixon, you claim that your relationship with Ms. Spruill was purely sexual, and one conversation that occurred is that her child is not yours. Is that correct?
Mr. Dixon started by listing and explaining his doubts about why the child could definitely not be his. He brought in an exhibit to paint a vivid picture of the doubts that had been stored up in his head. He sure wasn't here to joke around because he was ready to fight Ms. Spruill to the end.
So she goes around showing pictures and, you know, excited about it, showing to our coworkers, her bosses and everything. Except for one particular coworker comes out of the blue and was like, whoa, wait a minute, pause. No, that's not his baby, that's my brother's baby. Like, whoa, wait a minute. Why would this girl come out of the blue and claim that this is her brother's baby just like this? So I have my doubts that this is my child.
Mr. Dixon had proof to back up his claim. Apparently, Ms. Spruell wasn't being a faithful partner during their relationship. He said she had 2 different phones she used for 2 different purposes. The first phone was to post everything about herself on Facebook, and the other phone was to talk to other men whom she happened to be intimate with. Well, at least so he claimed.
Kamaya has 2 phones. She had one phone that she used to be on the internet and she posts her whole entire life on Facebook. She has another phone where she texts and calls. She plays like she's 2 people on Facebook.
He has that
she
number.
Done did
He's
this
not allowed
multiple
to have
times.
my main number. We have no communication because, like I said,
he's not allowed to have your main number, and he's the father of your child.
We're gonna go to why he can't have my main number.
Now, Mr. Dixon had time to defend himself since he claimed he wasn't the father of the child. It was Ms. Spruell's turn to speak up, and she had some truths to let out of her chest. Mr. Dixon was not loyal at all. While he claimed to be away for work purposes, he got himself another baby with a different woman.
It wasn't even 7 months. Mr. Dixon had a whole nother child while he was still with me. He was still with me.
So what was he doing in Alabama? Not
making babies. Yeah, he was doing in some work. He put in a lot of work.
Mr. Dixon.
And not only that, once he gets down to Alabama, my daughter was all over his Facebook. Cover photo and all. The same child you've been denying.
How can you claim a baby when the baby first came into the world, only to then turn your back and deny its existence? Ms. Spruell was furious because when she initially gave birth to the child, Mr. Dixon claimed the child and was present from the time of birth. When his other baby mama found out about the child, he stopped showing care and started to deny the baby.
He was there my entire pregnancy. He was. He is the one who told me I was pregnant. He said I was pregnant because he's throwing up everywhere. He said I was pregnant.
Because he was throwing up.
He was throwing up.
Your Honor, let me tell you about that, Your Honor, about that. I had a hangover. We got drunk one night and I had a hangover and I threw up at 5, 6 o'clock that morning.
So why did you tell me to find out when I was pregnant?
Before she gave birth to the baby, everyone thought she was lying about being pregnant. Apparently, Mr. Dixon had been selling a different story to those around him. Moving on, everyone found out she was pregnant and Mr. Dixon had some explaining to do since he was the one who had been spreading the lies.
Everybody found out that I was pregnant. Everybody knew I was pregnant by then. Because at first, they were saying I was lying about being pregnant because Mr. Dixon kept telling them I wasn't. Even though he went to the
All she do is lie. You don't know what to
You
believe.
went with me. How did I lie?
You don't know what to believe.
So did you go with me to the appointment? Did you? Was you there when they said I was pregnant?
No, I wasn't there when they
Oh, you wasn't
came
there?
back with the results.
Oh, and didn't they tell you to come to the back? So we didn't go to the back and talk to that nice
I
lady.
was never there.
Mr. Dixon made attempts to be present in the child's life, but Ms. Spruell was not very welcoming. He approached her with the idea of wanting to change the baby's name to his, but she didn't agree. She was too upset that he hadn't been around for so long, so she wasn't going to let him put his name on the birth certificate.
As well as being willing to execute the birth certificate, why not be cooperative instead of combative?
Because the day we were supposed to go get it changed, Mr. Dixon ran right back off to Alabama.
Lies.
Oh,
We
you
had
did?
plenty of time. I didn't leave.
You
I
were
didn't
there
leave
for
till-
a week. You was there the first week of her life, Mr. Dixon.
I didn't leave back to Alabama till a month later. We had plenty of time to change his name. I done talked to
So-
every day. Let's go get this baby name changed. I got the money.
Lies,
Let's go. Let's go.
The courtroom had seen enough of Mr. Dixon and Ms. Spruell's drama about who the biological father of the baby was. It was finally time to reveal the truth and put an end to the endless argument they both didn't want to stop.
Mr. Dixon, you are the father. You are her father.
Thank you.
You feel relieved, Miss Spruell?
I do.
How do you feel, Mr. Dixon?
I'm excited. I have a beautiful baby girl. I'm gonna be the best father I can, and I'm just glad the truth is out.
You could see it in his eyes, trust me. Mr. Carroll wanted nothing more for the child to be his. He was in court to prove to his ex-girlfriend that he was the biological father of her 26-year-old daughter. Even though the defendant denied his claim several times, he just refused to accept that he wasn't the father. It all started like this.
Mr. Carroll, you are here to prove to your ex-girlfriend, Ms. Goggins, that you are the biological father of her 26-year-old daughter, Shirletha Carroll.
Yes, Your Honor.
You say when your daughter was 5 years old, the defendant told you another man was her father, but you refused to believe it.
Yes, Your Honor.
You saw it for yourself. He wants her to be his daughter so bad. Throughout the years, Mr. Carroll never had any doubts about being her father, even when the defendant told him several times that he wasn't the father. But Ms. Goggins claimed she had a one-night stand, and she believes that he is the father of her daughter.
Jesse, we were basically broken up, and then I end up going to her father saying that I needed someone to talk to, so me and him end up having sex, and I knew that it was
the one-night stand,
the hairdresser, and he said that I told him 5 years later, which it wasn't 5 years later, because when I was pregnant with her.
If he was hoping to convince Ms. Goggins about being the father, he definitely failed at that. Her mind was fixed on the fact that he was not and could not be the father of her child. Mr. Carroll recalled their relationship being shaky at the time, and throughout their time together, Ms. Goggins never told him she wasn't his child.
First of all, me and Tina at that time was still in a relationship. It was just shaky. Lily was 5 years old, and she came over my mother's house, and she told me that she had something to tell me. And then she told Lily would go off. She's 5, so she's trying to go off or whatever. She was like, "No, Lily, I want Lily to hear this." You know, when she told me Lily was not my daughter, Lily was standing right there, because I will never forget the face that she had.
Moving on, Ms. Goggins remembered the period when she gave birth to her daughter. Mr. Carroll was in the hospital, and he cut the cord. But the moment he saw the baby, he asked Ms. Goggins whose child it was because she was too light-skinned. From that moment on, Ms. Goggins decided that the baby could not be his.
Every room with me, you seen her and you said, "Wow, whose baby is this? She's so white." I knew from there that who Shalitha belonged to.
No.
After I left the hospital with Shalitha, I said, "Shalitha is not your child. You never wanted to listen to me saying that it wasn't your child."
Who's on the birth certificate?
I received the birth certificate. I seen Jesse's name.
Wow, he signed his name on the birth certificate without her knowing? How desperately does he want to be the baby's father? Anyway, Ms. Goggins told the judge that on so many occasions, she told him that the baby was not his, but he just wouldn't listen. He even gave the child his own nickname.
That's why I'm here today, to show people that Lily is.
She doesn't look like you. She looks just like her dad.
Look, she got my name on that birth certificate. That's my name. She got my name.
You put it on there without my consent.
I gave Lily that name, Lily. That nickname, I done that. Lily was my daughter. That's my nickname. That Shalitha is my family. That's her name from my family.
But it didn't come from you.
It's my people in my family,
No, it's not.
The back and forth between Mr. Carroll and Ms. Goggins was getting too much, so the judge decided to ask the daughter in question if she had ever felt the presence of Mr. Carroll in her childhood. Here's the reply she gave to the judge.
Your Honor, yes, I have, but to be honest, Jesse hasn't been in my life. You know, I'm just going off of pictures. You know, basically, pictures, he was there. He was with me as the father, with me and my sister. He was in the home as a family. But as time went on, I was with the other guy, which I have proof right here. I was with his family.
Well, that complicates the whole situation. At least she told the truth. Ms. Goggins wasn't the only one who believed that he wasn't the father. Mr. Carroll's wife also believed that her husband was not the biological father, and she couldn't understand why he couldn't let go.
Ms. Goggins told him, she told him years ago that she was not his daughter. And the only way I would know, because I came into the situation after the 5-year period, somewhere in there, which was, I never would say anything like that to Shalitha.
But
why?
she did.
Because I have my own children. I'm the one brought us here today because I think she should know.
Now that's one plot twist I didn't see coming. If he isn't the father of your child, why send him a letter thanking him for accepting the child? Something doesn't sound right. Anyways, Judge Lake heard enough of their testimony, so she determined that DNA was vehement in this paternity conflict. Here are the results.
Mr. Carroll, you are her father.
My baby. I know it. I'm planning to. Oh my God! I told you, girl. I told you. You tell the truth. Sorry.
Sometimes, you can only imagine what goes through the minds of some parents to make them make certain decisions. Mr. Harrison was suing the defendant for paternity fraud because he claimed he signed the birth certificate for their child under false pretenses. He also believed the defendant was never faithful throughout their relationship. He opened his case like this.
Mr. Harrison, you are suing the defendant, Ms. Grant, for paternity fraud. You've also petitioned the court to remove your name from the acknowledged acknowledgement of paternity document for 4-year-old Aaliyah Harrison because you claim you signed it under false pretenses.
Yes, Your Honor.
He couldn't hide his anger at all. He claimed that the man she had an affair with was a friend she had known for over 15 years. Mr. Harrison and baby mama had been together for 8 years, and throughout that period, she was intimate with the other man.
She had this affair with this person for 15 years. I've only been with her for 8. So this goes way before we were ever even together in the first place. So after 8 years with her and a previous child before the one in question, we have already had a child together. So she has been cheating on me literally the entire 8-year span that we were together, including the time of our first child.
So, baby daddy was actually right about the affair going on for a long time. As she could recall, she had known the other man since she was 18 years old. She claimed he helped her with little things like taking care of her first child and sorting out the bills. And on some days, they would kick it in bed, even while she was in a relationship with Mr. Harrison.
Person was a friend of mine. I had met this person when I was 18 years old. I was a single parent of a 2-year-old daughter at the time. He helped me with her. He helped me financially. He has bought cars. He has paid rent. He has paid bills. Okay, when I met Mr. Harrison and I told my friend, I'm in love and we're gonna have a baby.
Baby mama sure knows how to keep a secret, all right. I mean, how do you have a sexual relationship with a friend for 15 years and still maintain a romantic relationship with your boyfriend for 8 years? That takes some real nerve. But in her defense, she claimed she was sleeping with the other guy when she conceived her baby.
But I didn't lie about the paternity. I lied about whether or not I was seeing somebody, but like I said, the person wasn't even in our area at the time.
So you're saying you were not sleeping with this person?
Not at that time, no.
During the time Aaliyah was conceived?
But how am I supposed to ever believe that after an entire 8-year relationship? Aaliyah's only 4 now.
There you have it, baby. Mama has some serious nerve to say something like that after cheating throughout the relationship. Well, guess what? Baby, daddy wasn't a saint either. He also stepped out of the relationship and kicked it in bed with another woman. But all that didn't matter to him. He was just tired of baby mama's lies.
I tried. And it wasn't, I love her and I love my kids so much, that I was willing to bend over backwards and forgive her for all of her misdeeds. All of them.
What about all your misdeeds?
Every single one of them.
Don't sit there and act like you haven't cheated on me.
I'm not saying that.
He cheated on me with someone who is, he's an indie pro wrestler. He cheated on me with someone who they call ring rats.
Even though she had been cheating all this while with the other man, she believed deep in her heart that Mr. Harrison was the father of her child. They dive into the argument of the window of conception, and it turns into an all-out war. Here's how it played out.
What day was Aaliyah born?
Her birthday is September 15th of 2010.
September 15th, 2010. If her birthday's September 15th, the dates of conception would be somewhere between December 19th to December 27th.
Yes, ma'am. Her birthday is September 15th.
You say this is a blizzard. This is how you know it could not be the other man's child, is because this man doesn't like the cold.
Well, that didn't end nicely. After all the yelling, baby mama changed her story and started to say that all she wanted to do was try to fix her relationship with Mr. Harrison. She admits that what she did was wrong, but she loves Mr. Harrison and hopes they can make it work. Is that even possible after cheating for 8 years?
Right now telling me that I ought to be ashamed of myself for even being here to prove to this man who I am in love with at this very moment, even though he is accusing me of not knowing who the father of my child is, that I ought to be ashamed of myself for wanting to come in front of you and prove to him and the rest of the world that yes, I've done wrong, but I'm willing to admit that and I'm willing to right those wrongs for my children.
Miss Grant, as you stand there and I see how emotional you are when you speak.
Yes, ma'am.
I, for one, don't think they can find their way back after all the lies, but who am I to judge? Anyway, there's no need to try to delay the inevitable. The results are sitting pretty with the judge, and it's time to unveil who the father of the child is.
Mr. Harrison, you are her father.
I told you.
I'm happy.
Good. How do you feel, Miss Grant?
I feel vindicated, Your Honor. Absolutely. I may have lied about my affair, but I know who the father of my child is.
As far as frustration goes, Mr. Portis had taken enough from his ex-girlfriend. He was in court with his mother to free himself from the accusations that he was the father of his ex-girlfriend's child. He claimed she ruined his life and is not trying to pin the baby on him, even though he's been paying child support.
Mr. Portis, you and your mother have petitioned the court for a DNA test because you are certain you are not the father of the defendant's daughter, Ava.
Correct.
You say your life has been ruined and need today's paternity results to set the record straight. Is that correct?
Correct, Your Honor.
Isn't he one angry guy? Paying child support for a child you believe is not yours can drive you crazy. Even he couldn't deny that it was kind of his fault. If he had shown up in court, he might have been able to save himself from all the trouble. Anyway, here's where the plot twist to their story thickens.
The last year, Ms. Middlebrooks didn't show up.
No.
Right, because I prefer to do this outside of this. Why do we have to come here for him to finally do it?
I went to get swabbed. I did the whole thing that I was supposed to do, but she didn't do it.
Why couldn't we do it outside of here?
So tell me about the nature of your relationship with Mr. Portis. Were you boyfriend and girlfriend?
We started talking first and then eventually started dating.
As if that wasn't enough to bring down the roof of the courtroom, Ms. Middlebrooks had another boyfriend while she was messing with Mr. Portis. And when he found out, he wasn't going to stick around to find out if he was the father of the child.
After she got pregnant, a letter she sent them.
Wait a minute.
I sent the guy a letter telling him that I was pregnant, letting him know what was going on.
Hold on. Wait a minute. This is exactly why young people don't have no business making babies. You can't even tell the story to make no sense.
Right.
Miss Middlebrooks, what was your relationship with this other guy?
We were dating.
When?
Before.
Basically, Ms. Middlebrooks was bouncing from man to man, and when she found out she was pregnant, she decided to tell the other guy about the pregnancy through a letter. Mr. Portis, on the other hand, didn't believe her when she reached out to him and said she was pregnant.
When I found out I was pregnant, I called him. He was distant after I found out.
When was there a relationship? I mean, when were they?
Did I have intercourse with you? Were I with you? No, I didn't think so. Well, nobody talking to you.
So I'm talking to you.
Well, I ain't talking to you.
Hold on, ladies.
I mean, if he didn't believe her about the pregnancy, there was no way he was going to show up for the doctor's appointments and the child's birth. Now, this is where things start to sound mysterious. Mr. Portis wasn't present at the birth, but her ex, whom she told she was pregnant through a letter, was present all the way.
Who was with you at the birth?
My ex was. He stepped up.
Oh, wait.
But she wasn't messing with the ex, though.
Yes. When I had her, yes, he was there.
So he was away, and then by the time you had the baby, he was home.
Yes.
And he was at the hospital.
Yes.
But you gave
and you
my son
say
an
he
opportunity.
stepped up.
Yes.
What?
But
your son wanted nothing to do with
was
me
holding
or
her
the pregnancy.
and all that.
You do not know. You're not your son. I'm not communicating with you. I'm communicating with your son.
Off! Could the situation be any worse in the courtroom? All this while baby mama had been getting child support from Mr. Portis and her ex-boyfriend. At this point, they need to lock her ass in jail, but that was just the beginning of the revelations. There were more secrets, and they popped out like this.
At the time, the only person I knew was the ex.
No, I didn't ask that. That's not what I asked. Who did she say the father was?
She said the ex.
Okay, I already knew that.
Son.
I said the ex.
But I thought it was my son all along.
No, hold on.
Now you really
Hold on.
like that?
I could tell by the way you were telling that story that you were trying to be evasive about something.
But
looks like Ms. Middlebrooks has been the deceiver all this while. She allowed her ex-boyfriend to play the daddy figure role in her child's life and never allowed Mr. Portis to visit the child. At this point, you can't blame Mr. Portis for choosing to stay away. Her lies and deception have gone to another level.
You let your ex raise the baby? Ava's too. Is he he was at the hospital? You let him raise her?
Yes.
Mr. Portis, I want to understand from your vantage point what's happening. She's pregnant. The ex is there. You're just thinking the ex is the child's father. Do you have any contact? Are you calling to check in? What is your relationship at that point? You just completely moved on?
We weren't talking. She told me to.
Oh well, baby daddy's mom sure doesn't like Ms. Middlebrooks. The sad thing about this case was even if baby daddy ended up not being the father of the child, there was a high chance he would continue to pay child support, and that just wasn't on his agenda.
I was in training for management, and I didn't know that, like, you know what I'm saying, if I was to miss court, it was going to be this big of a situation.
Oh, yes.
Now I know.
Yes.
But I was inexperienced with all this stuff that was going on at the time.
This is exactly why I tell people you making babies, you got to understand the system.
Yeah, correct.
So we're here now. With all of this drama, there's still a very real possibility you're Ava's father.
Yes.
It was evident that both parties were at daggers drawn, and no one was ready to drop their allegations. Secrets were being revealed in court one after another, but nothing was helping them reveal the truth that was needed. So Judge Lake pulled the strings and decided to announce the result.
Mr. Portis, you are the father. I told you. You are Ava's father.
Thank you, Your Honor.
That is your beautiful little girl.
Appreciate it.
What do you feel, Miss Middlebrooks? Can you tell me?
She knows. Now she knows.
And that's a relief for you.
That's a relief.
heartwarming moments on paternity court.
Mr. Doris, you are his father.
Take you,
Damn. Get that up out of here, boo.
you do. That's pretty good. I love you, man.
You are the father.
Mr. Doris was facing off against Miss Newell over the paternity of Laval Doris Jr. Now add $30,000 worth of child support, and the stakes were through the roof for these guys. The plaintiff needed a green light to launch an explanation on why he denied paternity. Well, we were here for it.
I was about 11, 12 years old, and I was riding a bike with no seat on it, and my brakes went out, and I flipped over the handlebars, and the poles went up into my groins. I was in the hospital for 37 days. I had to learn how to walk all over again. The doctor told me it's a possibility that I won't be able to have children.
A not so heartwarming start to this tale, right? Moving on, the baby mama had another version to share of how the first meeting went down. It's a mix of bus stops, family members' porches, and questionable acquaintances, all rolled into one.
We met on the bus stop, had a small conversation, engaged in it while waiting on my bus, talked a little bit, found out our birthdays are the same day. Ooh, wild coincidence, I'm 1 year older than him. You're gonna turn around and tell me that another man was at my grandfather's house? How? I wasn't even living there, first of all. Second of all, we were living together when my son was conceived.
But that don't make Junior mine.
Buckle up, because things are about to get messier. Oh yeah, the suspicions take a sizzling turn when Mr. Doris finds a few questionable items in a diaper bag, of all places. Wow. Accusations fly, and trust goes straight downhill.
Stop lying. Please stop lying. Because see, for one, you wasn't even allowed in my grandfather's house. So
no, you was at my house when I found the pictures. You was in my bedroom. The nudie.
Mr. Doris, the person in question, I didn't meet this person till after my son turned a year old. This person stepped up to the plate and was a man to my son and is still a man and a father to my son till this day.
Cue the hurt and betrayal. Baby mommy straight up denied that it was her in those pictures, but the bell had rung, and baby daddy started connecting other dots, starting from the guy he had seen around Miss Newell.
So from that point, you didn't trust her.
No more.
At some point, you said you saw her with another man.
Yes.
And when was this?
This was like the end of the 4 months we was together. She was pregnant already. I know she's pregnant.
So if she's already pregnant, why would you question whether or not you're the father?
She with other guys.
Because you feel like she was also with those other guys before.
Yes.
Things weren't heating, folks. They were boiling over. Arguments escalate over phone calls, state lines, and the alleged Facebook post. Mama was adamant about the other man stepping up as the father, but that didn't sit too well with the plaintiff.
This man walked in and stood up and be the dad to not only his son, but a son that I had before him. And still to this day, this man don't care what nobody says because he potty trained him. He taught him how to walk. He taught him how to be a man. Not this fool, but him. So yes, he's gonna continue to stand up and say that he's my son's dad. And still to this day, my son acknowledges him as his dad.
In the middle of all this paternity turmoil, the baby daddy ends up revealing how he drove from Alabama to get Lavelle. Even though he had his doubts, he still came to get him. Now, that's heart-melting, no?
I stopped what I doing. That week was over. I stopped what I doing. Took a day off work from Alabama, rented a car, and drove 800 miles to Chicago to get this boy.
Did he pick him up?
At the time he came.
One at a time.
Your Honor, let me explain.
You just asked me a question.
Now explain.
I'm asking Miss Newell, did he come to your house to get him?
Yeah, he came to my house to get him.
And then did he pick him up?
No, he didn't take him anywhere.
Not only that, Mr. Doris had also signed the birth certificate, knowing the medical condition made it pretty impossible for the kid to be his. So why did he do that? It's a beautiful sentiment as to why he ended up acknowledging paternity.
I had doubts, but I was so happy to have a son. And just something that's been bothering me for the longest, Your Honor.
Yeah, it's been bothering me.
My mother, it's been bothering her. May her soul rest in peace. While we battling breast cancer with her, also I'm dealing with this Facebook.
No, you wouldn't.
Your Honor, if he's my son, I don't have no problem paying that.
Finally, Lavelle Jr. stepped up and spoke out. Now, he had a fatherless life, which is no easy feat to accomplish. And listen to him. The supposed baby daddy couldn't help but appreciate the guy.
What I'm trying to understand from you, Mr. Doris, is there is a level of adoration for this young man that you have, and I'm trying to understand,
Is it because you love the fact that he's your namesake? He's a handsome, smart young man, but you still have doubts? Or do you even really have a doubt?
Well, the game-changing moment was here. The judge had the results, and whether those results would be the key to solving this decade-long mystery or not, well, that was about to be seen right now.
Mr. Doris, you are his father.
Take me out.
Damn. Get that up out of here, boo.
I love you, dude. That's pretty good. I love you, man.
Mr. Milner insisted that he had been led down a garden path, believing he fathered Miss Heath's son. Now, he loved the baby boy, but the paternity doubts were a real thorn on his side. It's a case filled with love, doubt, and a dash of deception.
I feel like she been deceiving me because when I first met her, I told her straight up what I want. And that is, I want a family. I want to be a family man. I'm done reading the streets. I'm really tired of that. And I feel like at the time, as soon as I said that, the light came up above her head, like, bing, I got me a duck. You heard me? I'm finna go ahead and pluck this man for whatever I can. And that's why I'm here. I really need this test.
Now imagine the plaintiff, the self-proclaimed family man, met Miss Heath, who might just be a mastermind in the art of deception, or so he said. Their relationship began like a rom-com script, filled with the underlying sarcasm and doubts the size of boulders.
We was over there out riding with a friend. She was with a family member. Her little family member done stopped my homeboy. And that's when I seen her. Ooh, wait, let me get this little thing. I just moved to Texas, you hear me? I'm from Louisiana. And then when I seen her, and I needed something, you know what I'm saying? I need to be a female to talk to and get to know.
Well, okay. It wasn't just that easy, though.
As we dive deeper, we get to know that Mr. Milner, the hopeful father, started questioning the speed of it all. Yep, the pregnancy took only a couple of weeks, and that gave him whiplash.
I was excited. Then I started having doubt. I'm like, dang, hold up.
He didn't have a response, Your Honor.
And
What made you say, hold up?
Sure, we just met. And you pregnant 2-3 weeks later?
His family members is the reason why. Yeah.
Oh, so this happened quickly after you met.
It was very quick.
Quickly.
The relationship was
August,
quick.
you pregnant by that. August the 14th.
It's time to spill the tea on how the baby mama ended up pregnant. And oh boy, it's a whirlwind romance. They barely had any time to binge watch a series together before she dropped the pregnancy bomb. His reaction? Well, he went from elation to serious contemplation.
I kept trying to make sure with my doctor that I had the conception dates right. When the date got moved back, I was like, maybe it could be another, the other gentleman.
I thought you all were in a committed relationship.
It happened prior to Mr. Milner. That's why I don't understand. I understand his doubt, but I don't understand the fuel to his fire is like I cheated on him. I did not.
With all the pestering doubts, the baby daddy still signed the birth certificate, and his justification will make you feel all the right feels. However, condom fiascos, calendars, and intimate encounters turned into a tangled web of uncertainty. Was it a love potion, or just a series of unfortunate events?
It could be mine. I don't know. Well, I'm just, at the time, I love her. And I want that family. And when I seen him, I want a son. I already got 2 daughters. I want a son. I want that more than anything else.
But you have this doubt that just won't go away.
It won't.
Well, the battle continues. Mommy was claiming she had not thrown caution out the window. But guess what? Judge Lake had proof of Miss Heath deviating from her statement recorded earlier. Uh-oh.
Did you ever tell the other man that he could be the biological father?
No, man. When I called him, I strictly asked him about the condom. Period, point blank. He was like, no, you made sure that I used condoms. He was like, so I should, he was like, we stopped messing around before this, all of this transpired. And he said that nothing happened with the condom. The other gentleman is married, ma'am.
Caught in a bold-faced lie, weren't we? Well, we bet baby mama did not see that one coming. But hold on, because it appears there was one more key piece of information missing as well. The other guy was in a committed, married relationship too. Wow, woman.
Your Honor, while I was messing with this gentleman, I was not aware that he was married until my relative came to me after I had already started a relationship because we never treated it as such. She said, well, he's still messing with his wife. I was like, well, why you didn't tell me this prior? Because I don't mess with married men. That is not my cup of tea.
The suspense reached its climax. It was time to spill the beans on the DNA result. Will there be new heartwarming beings for these guys? Or more sorrow? We are about to find out.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Milner, you are the father. Oh, wow. I haven't seen you smile like this, Mr. Milner.
It feel good, feel great.
A long-lost father and a daughter duo finally meet after 25 years of separation. Their quest for the truth was riddled with suspense, and the DNA results held the key to unraveling this family mystery. Let's dive right in then.
All right, so Ms. Garcia, why are today's results so important to you?
Since I was 16, I felt lost. A part of me just disappeared. I felt empty. The man that is supposed to be my father, I can't get close to him. I don't want to get close to him because if I do, I feel like he's just gonna leave again.
While the daughter narrated how her life had been with a father, Mama couldn't help but get tearful. Guess it was her love for her daughter that finally pushed her to get some very real answers that she deserved. And in doing so, she was ready to face her past head on. Now that was Allworthy.
Timothy and I dated for a short period of time. I got together with my ex. I didn't find out I was pregnant till after I got with my ex. There was a possibility that, it could be his or it could be Timothy's at the time.
Without waiting any further, Judge Lake brought in the man this mother-daughter claimed could be her father. Better get some tissues ready, people, because you are gonna get misty-eyed. Moreover, the way the guy got to know about her daughter's existence was one heck of a way to find out. That's for sure.
So take me to that day. How did you find out? What happened?
Basically, I was on Facebook one day, and I ran into, this face, and I'm like, this girl looks familiar, So I decided to reach out to her, touch base. We started communicating. Then Mr. Concentration, she comes out and she's just like, I have your daughter.
Talk about people you should know.
Next up, Ms. Sanchez sheds light on how she and Mr. Brent first met. They lived close by, and things took off from there. However, the situation took a nosedive when baby mama pulled the disappearing act on the defendant. But by that time, the bun was in the oven, ready to be cooked and served.
How long after that did you find out you're pregnant?
When I went to a gynecologist, I was already like 2 or 3 months pregnant. I had let my ex know there's a possibility that the baby may not be yours, but we both vowed to each other that we would give Monica a mother and a father and bring her up.
Miss Garcia had slight problems with Mama's version of how the events went down, and recounting those events brought all kinds of emotions in her. Guess the years of pent-up sadness and disappointment were finally catching up to her. In the midst of this all, the conception window shines bright like a diamond.
In order for her to get on government assistance, we had to do a DNA test. So we did that DNA test, and I'm thinking, well, there's no point. It's gonna come back that he's mine, but it came back that he wasn't. And that's when just the whole can of worms came out, so.
And how did that change your relationship with this man?
It changed it dramatically.
Oh, baby, that window was complicated to say the least. The judge brought her calculator to the rescue. However, it didn't rescue the situation, man. Nuh-uh. The math wasn't adding up, and it showed on the poor daughter's face.
Miss Sanchez, were there any other men you were dating at that time besides the man you were with and Mr. Bryant? Because we just added this up, and it doesn't add up.
I know.
So, Mr. Bryant, what are you feeling?
Like I said, it don't add up. That's sad because she's lost here, not knowing who her dad is.
What little hope the daddy and daughter had seemed to be slipping right out of their fingers. And yet the defendant had established a fatherly bond with Miss Monica as best as one could in the last couple of months.
Monica, I know this has been a difficult day of testimony, hon. And after hearing everything that's been set forth today, what are you thinking? What are you feeling?
Well, now I just have a whole bunch of doubt. I had a little bit of hope coming in, and now it's just all out the window.
Well, the suspense was peaking as we neared the grand revelation. The DNA results were in, and the future of the plaintiff rode heavily on it. Emotions were running high. Let's see whether she finally gets the answer she's been searching for or not.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Bryant, you are the father.
The courtroom was tense and filled with resentment. At the center of the storm stood Mr. Washington, a man desperate to escape the weight of responsibility. He called it a mistake, but there was someone else who had a stake in this battle. Mr. Washington's fiancée, Ms. Comer.
Mr. Washington, you say the defendant, Ms. Steinhardt, was a two-night stand that went too far. And as a result, she's claiming you fathered her 3-month-old daughter, Amaya. Your fiancé, Ms. Comer, says your relationship is in turmoil because of Ms. Steinhardt, and you're both desperate to prove you are not the father.
However, Ms. Steinhardt had a very different version of events. To her, this wasn't a fleeting moment of carelessness. It was a relationship, a planned pregnancy, a future. And now, she was here to prove that the child she carried for 9 months belonged to him.
Ms. Steinhardt, it is your testimony that you and Mr. Washington were in a relationship and planned to have this child together. You say you have no doubt that Mr. Washington is the father.
Washington, however, painted a vastly different picture. He claimed that his encounter with Ms. Steinhardt was nothing more than a brief lapse, a misguided response to a heated argument with his fiancée, Comer. According to him, their time together had been nothing more than a spur-of-the-moment mistake, and his fiancée backed him up.
Mr. Washington, why do you think Ms. Steinhardt is trying to pin a child on you?
Because we had a little thing going on a couple months ago, because me and my fiance got into a little argument.
Well, the real reason is because she just wants my family.
Right from the beginning, the court can feel the heat. This promises to get even more intense. Judge Lauren managed to calm them down, at least temporarily. She wanted to know how all these things started.
Well, me and my fiance got into a little disagreement, and then I was staying at a friend's house, and I met Teresa over there.
All right.
He asked me if I was seeing anyone. I said no. I asked him the same question also. I said, are you seeing anyone? He said no.
No, that's a lie, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Comer is standing strong by her man and is ready to protect what's hers. She's not here to play. Ms. Steinhardt, on the other hand, maintained that she and Washington had been in a relationship, a passionate, albeit short-lived affair that she believed was genuine and meant to be. But how did she find out that he was in a relationship?
Basically, we was walking to the store and she was yelling from the other side of the block, like, oh, I see you.
And then I said, oh, I see y'all over there. Then they started walking like this. They out, running, ghosts.
You need to stay behind.
Sorry, but they was out. They was ghosts. Nowhere to be found.
Ms. Steinhardt should maybe take a few more steps to the left, just for her safety. The courtroom buzzed with murmurs as she laid out her case, how she and Mr. Washington had spent months together, how he had introduced her to his family, how he had made promises. She didn't hesitate when the judge asked if they had been intimate. Yes, they were together, for months, without protection more often than not, and now, with their daughter in her arms, he wanted to act like it never happened?
So you were in a relationship in your mind?
That says
Let me see those pictures, please.
All those pictures I already seen. I seen them through Facebook.
Y'all taking little pictures together?
Right, on the bus.
I have way more than that.
And another picture that looks like you all booed up.
The judge, ever the voice of reason, tried to rein in the verbal sparring, but the insults flew like daggers. Mr. Washington's defense was flimsy at best. His story wavered. First, it was a short fling, then a 2-month affair, then 3. He swore he had always used protection, except when he didn't. But Ms. Comer wasn't here to pick apart his inconsistencies. She had already made up her mind.
For how did you find out about the pregnancy?
All right, I found out through social media. She posted all those pictures that you have here with a picture of a pregnancy test on the social media page and said, oh, my baby father.
It was clear that Mr. Washington's relationship was built on a crumbling foundation of lies. Ms. Steinhardt told the court that Mr. Washington had been telling everyone that she was pregnant with his baby, but Mr. Washington denied having such conversations. And then his defender swooped in.
Because not once have I ever heard that came out from his mouth and from his friends telling me that he said anything like that in that nature.
Because he doesn't want to tell you anything.
But why would the friends lie for him? Those friends keep it a buck and tell me they see you walking with him outside. So why would they tell me that he's not saying that?
And the truth was told. The only path to truth was a DNA test's impartial scientific result. The DNA test results were in. The courtroom held its breath as the judge revealed the answer.
Mr. Washington, you are not the father.
Thank you. Now have a great day with your life and your baby. She's beautiful, by the way.
He's not the father.
What began as a quiet claim by Ms. Mitchell quickly transformed into a high-stakes drama. At the center of the storm was Ms. Mitchell herself, a young woman who once trusted her childhood sweetheart, now facing the reality that the man she loved might be denying responsibility for the daughter she bore.
Ms. Mitchell, you are here in the court today because you claim your childhood sweetheart stole your virginity, got you pregnant, and is now denying paternity of your 2-month-old daughter, Rylan.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Mitchell had always maintained that her intimate encounter with Mr. Robinson, her longtime lover, had changed everything. Yet, across the room, Mr. Robinson wasn't buying it. Why? Because, according to him, there were 4 other possible fathers.
And Mr. Robinson, in your defense, you claim you doubt paternity because after Ms. Mitchell told you she was pregnant, you found out she was sleeping with 4 other men.
Yes, Your Honor.
She recalled how he had once pressured her to take a step she wasn't ready for. A moment that, in retrospect, had set in motion a wave of events leading to her pregnancy. Yet, Mr. Robinson insisted that their relationship had been a one-time, unprotected hookup. A fleeting moment rather than a lifelong commitment.
Mitchell, explain to the court, how did you get yourself in this messy situation?
Well, Your Honor, we hung out a few times and he pressured me to have sex with him and I said I wasn't ready yet. And so then I was hanging out at these apartment complexes and we hooked up and had sex. I lost my virginity and I found out I was pregnant 3 weeks later.
What made the situation even more explosive was the revelation that, shortly after Ms. Mitchell informed him of her pregnancy, whispers began circulating that she had been involved with 4 other men during the period of conception. Ms. Mitchell was furious. She demanded to know where these rumors had started.
Your Honor, she had one of her friends she grew up with inboxed me and her on Facebook and said, I'm not trying to start no drama. I thought I'd let you know that she had sex with 4 other guys, okay?
But there was one thing she did know. When she gave birth, Mr. Robinson was nowhere to be found. Oh, but he had an explanation for that, too. According to him, the reason he wasn't there for his daughter's birth was that he was in jail.
So let's fast forward to the birth. You have the baby. Is Mr. Robinson with you?
No, but his sister was.
His sister came?
Yes, I sent my sister.
So he wasn't at the, you sent her?
Yes, because I had got arrested the night of, I'm not going to lie, I'll be 100% honest with you, Your Honor. So I said, Erica, I said, will you do me a favor? She said, what, bub? I said, will you make sure you go to the hospital for me?
Ms. Mitchell's mother wasn't letting that slide. She stood up, armed with receipts of her own, a paper, a date, cold, hard proof. Turns out that Mr. Robinson wasn't arrested until 2 days after the baby was born. So where was he on the day of the birth? Nowhere to be found.
I want to hear from her now. Please step up.
My name's Diana Mitchell, and this is my daughter. And Hope was raised better than to lay around sleeping with men. I have no clue where they come up with that. No clue whatsoever where they come up with 4 men.
Mr. Robinson also came with his own witness. And it didn't take long before the case turned into a shouting match. Mr. Robinson and his witness claimed Ms. Mitchell is immature and detailed heated exchanges and moments of raw confrontation.
You were arrested on May 9th.
Your Honor, no. I was arrested 5/8 of 2014. In the morning.
Okay, but she was born on the 7th.
At 10 o'clock on the morning, I was arrested, okay? And that was the day the file, I have more than just one charge that they picked me up on.
The back and forth was exhausting. Accusations flung across the room, voices rising, tempers flaring, and then the judge had had enough. She slammed the courtroom back into order, reminding them all that none of this drama mattered. Not the Facebook gossip, not the he said she said, not even their childish back and forth. What mattered was the innocent little girl caught in the middle.
Who cares?
Yeah, nobody cares about that.
Who cares? This is just getting ridiculous. You all in this Facebook and this, if you all would have just stayed on Facebook instead of laying down in the bed with no protection, we wouldn't be here. You all want to talk about Facebook all day.
The turning point came when the DNA test results were finally presented. The room tensed. Ms. Mitchell held her breath, waiting for justice. Mr. Robinson stood still, ready to confirm his doubts. Their witnesses watched with quiet anxiety.
Mr. Robinson, you are the father.
Mr. Patterson stood firm, his jaw tight, his eyes locked onto the woman he once trusted. He wasn't just here to clear his name. He was here to defend the bond he had built with a little boy he had called his own for 4 years.
Mr. Patterson, you opened your case today to prove that you are 4-year-old DeMarcus Patterson Jr.'s biological father. You named him and have cared for your junior since birth and are furious the defendant now claims another man is his father.
Ms. Knight, on the other hand, looked composed, but the slight twitch in her fingers gave her away. She had a secret, one that could shatter everything. And she knew that once the truth was out, there would be no going back.
Ms. Knight, you testify that even though your son has Mr. Patterson's name, it does not change the fact that you are unsure he is DeMarcus Jr.'s biological father and another man could be. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Patterson had done everything a father should do. He was there when DeMarcus Jr. took his first breath. He gave him his name, rocked him to sleep, and played the role of a proud father. And now, the woman he had once loved was trying to rip that all away, claiming that another man could be the boy's real father.
Mr. Patterson, you testify you've been there since day one. Please explain.
I've been there since birth, since he came out the womb, since he entered this world. When the doctor first, held him up and finally gave him to him, I witnessed him just completely quit crying and looked me dead in my eyes, and at that moment I knew.
Ms. Knight didn't deny it. In fact, she admitted outright that she had told Patterson from the beginning there was a chance he wasn't the father. But back then, wrapped up in his love for her and the excitement of impending fatherhood, Patterson had dismissed the doubts. He had believed what he wanted to believe. Now, standing before the judge, he realized just how much of a mistake that might have been.
When I got pregnant, that there was a possibility that I could be pregnant by someone else.
So you were honest from the start?
From the beginning, yes.
Do you remember this conversation, Mr. Patterson?
Yes, Your Honor, in a way. When she first told me she was pregnant, that's when we was like, I guess you could say doing the house hopping thing, because in order...
Doing the what?
The house hopping thing, because when she moved out of her parents' house, she ain't had nowhere to go, so let her live there too.
But what made matters worse was how it all happened. Patterson thought they were solid, until he found out she had left him for another man. Just vanished. No call, no explanation. For 2 whole months. By the time she resurfaced, she had news. She was pregnant, and there was a possibility that the baby wasn't his. But Patterson, desperate to keep his family together, had welcomed her back anyway. He had chosen to ignore the nagging feeling in his gut, to trust that love would smooth out the rough edges of their past.
You're saying she just left the house and you didn't hear from her for a month or two?
Yeah, I was supposed to pick up from work, but my grandma made me feel worse about it because she was like, she knew she was too fast for me anyways, but going by what
So, Ms. Knight, where did you go? What is going on here?
I decided to leave because I wasn't over the fact that he cheated on me with this female.
When their son was born, all doubts had vanished. The moment he held that tiny, fragile life in his hands, he had felt it. A connection so deep, so undeniable, that the truth seemed irrelevant. He had signed the birth certificate, given the baby his name, and sworn to be his father, no matter what.
Time to go to the hospital. He hopped up. All right, let's do this. So we was in the hospital that whole day. Had the baby. He didn't get to cut the umbilical cord because the doctor took it upon himself to cut it.
Yeah, he did.
But that was it. When he had the baby, DeMarcus looked over, said, "That's my baby. We ain't naming him no Christian. We naming him DeMarcus Patterson."
Now, 4 years later, Ms. Knight had the audacity to turn around and question what had already been sealed in Patterson's heart. And worse, she had named a possible second contender, the mysterious Mr. Sigler.
He's 4 now.
He's 4 now, so I look at
And
it
the
now.
conversation about DNA tests this is not the first time I brought it up. I done set appointments. No one wants to help me with half the payment.
I help you with that. Now, it's just, I know you evil. If they say that I don't get to take my name off or have a DNA test, you'll put me on child support if you could. I'm
Look,
being real.
you
I
know
take care
it's
of
a
mine. You know
possibility
I
that
would.
you're the father.
In a twist that deepened the drama, Mr. Sigler stepped forward as a witness who not only confirmed his own connection to the events, but also claimed a paternal bond with the child. His account was equally compelling. He recalled when he had been there during a critical moment when Ms. Knight first learned she was pregnant. His testimony suggested that his involvement had been more than a fleeting encounter. It had been a genuine moment of intimacy that could have resulted in fatherhood.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you believe you are DeMarcus Jr.'s biological father?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Your Honor.
You do?
Yes, Your Honor.
Why do you believe that?
In the midst of me and Kaylin having dealings or intimacy, I was the one who told her she was pregnant. And when I told her she was pregnant, she say, "Well, if you feel like that, take me to the clinic." So I did.
But love doesn't erase biology, and the court doesn't deal with emotions. It deals with facts. As the moment of truth arrived, the judge held the results in her hands. Patterson stood frozen, his heart pounding. Ms. Knight shifted uneasily, as if she suddenly wasn't so sure she wanted to hear what was coming next.
The biological father is Mr. Sigler.
This was a mess, pure, unfiltered chaos in the courtroom. It all started with Mr. Pitchford Kendricks, a man determined to prove he was the biological father of baby Javier. He stood in court with a carefully prepared basket of baby essentials, convinced that today was the day he would claim his son.
Mr. Pitchford Kendricks, you opened your case to prove that you are the biological father of the defendant's 2-month-old son, Javier. You claim she is denying paternity only because she wants to be with another man and needs him to be the father.
But across from him, Ms. Saavedra stood unmoved. She wasn't buying his claim, not for a second. At the heart of the matter was a 2-month-old baby, Javier, whose biological father was up for determination, and the stakes could not have been higher.
Ms. Saavedra, you admit you allowed 2 men into your bed at the same time, but you are convinced that Mr. Pitchford Kendricks is not Javier's biological father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Pitchford Kendricks started with determination etched on his face. Growing up without a father in the tough streets of Detroit, he had long vowed to break the cycle of abandonment. Now, armed with the hope of finally being a father himself, he claimed that he was Javier's biological parent. His case was more than just a legal battle. It was a deeply personal crusade to prove that he could be the guiding light his own upbringing had lacked.
Proving paternity is extremely important to you.
Yes,
is that
Your Honor.
correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Please explain.
Well, Your Honor, I grew up in the streets of Detroit, no dad in my life, and I just want to make sure that my son doesn't have to grow up like I did. And
That's a beautiful basket there. You brought that for your son once you prove your case?
Yes, Your Honor.
She openly admitted that 2 men had shared her bed during the time of conception. Yes, 2. But she was absolutely certain Mr. Pitchford Kendricks was not the father. His presence in her life, she argued, was nothing more than a regrettable mistake, one she had already moved past. Then came the revelations that made jaws drop.
Me and Greg met each other through he was dating a roommate of mine. And he came over one day. We did end up hitting it off, and we was cool. Ended up having sex.
Okay, that's Three's Company, right? Y'all too young to know that show.
Speaking of Three's Company.
Yes, that's what I shouted too. This wasn't a simple case of a one-night stand or a fleeting romance. No. This was a decade-long entanglement that spiraled into something far more complicated. It turned out that Mr. Pitchford Kendricks had originally been involved with Ms. Saavedra's roommate. From there, things took a bizarre turn. He introduced Ms. Saavedra to his cousin, and soon after, a love triangle, or rather a love mess, was born. But hold on, because it gets even messier.
And we became friends. You know, I was still kind of talking to her friend. You know what I'm saying? So
oh, you still with the friend?
Yeah.
Right.
After that, you know, I hooked her up. She asked me, did I know anybody else, you know what I'm saying, that she could hook up with.
So who did you hook her up with?
Well, a half cousin of mine.
According to Mr. Pitchford Kendricks, he played by a certain set of rules. During the threesomes, he used protection, out of respect for Maurice, because in his mind, that was the respectful thing to do. Then came that night. Maurice was out with another woman, and Ms. Saavedra wasn't happy. Furious, humiliated, and seeking revenge, she called Mr. Pitchford Kendricks over. This time, there was no protection, no rules, just raw emotions and a desire to even the score. And now, here they were.
When they have their little disputes or whatever, he be cheating and all that, she called me crying and stuff. And you know, I had to go over there and kind of help her cheer up and stuff, you know.
So you're saying you did the threesomes, but then you also would go over and sleep with her by yourself?
While he was at work.
Mr. Pitchford Kendricks was convinced this was the night Javier was conceived. Ms. Saavedra? She dismissed it entirely. According to her, the timing didn't add up. She conceived in May, she argued, and by then, her involvement with Mr. Pitchford Kendricks was over, but he wasn't buying it.
At the times we had threesomes, I was trying to respect him, you know what I'm saying, and wear a condom, but I kind of liked her, you know, from the first time I had seen her and stuff, so.
But
Wait, so what are you saying? So when you had the threesomes with your cousin and her, you would wear a condom?
Yeah, for respect for him.
Because that's respect.
Yeah.
What do Maurice think? Well, in a statement to the court, Maurice didn't find the whole situation funny. He felt cheated and used, but he agrees with Mr. Pitchford Kendricks. The child isn't his. Despite his anger, Mr. Pitchford Kendricks felt no guilt.
We have a statement from your cousin Maurice.
Your Honor, he even thought I was
It says, last year Mercedes and I got into it because she thought I was having sex with another woman, which I wasn't. In retaliation, she had sex with my cousin Greg with no rubber. Shortly after, she comes up pregnant. I found out that they had been having sex behind my back for years. Since the dirty mess has come to light, I don't think her son is mine. He looks like Greg.
As the tension reached its peak, the judge had heard enough. It was time for answers. The DNA results were in. The courtroom held its breath. Mr. Pitchford Kendricks sat forward, gripping the edges of his podium. Ms. Saavedra folded her arms, confident in her stance. The judge read the results.
Mr. Pitchford Kendricks, you are not the father.
The courtroom was thick with tension. On one side stood Ms. Hawthorne, furious and determined, her eyes locked on the man she once called her high school sweetheart, but whose name has now changed to Deadbeat.
Ms. Hawthorne, you are here today because you say your high school sweetheart, Mr. Brown, is a smooth-talking deadbeat who got you pregnant 3 years ago and is now denying your baby. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
On the other side, Mr. Brown stood defiant, shaking his head like he wanted to be anywhere but there. He maintained that even though the two had shared an intimate moment, the circumstances were far from clear. Still, he wanted to prove that the accusations against him were untrue.
Mr. Brown, you say Ms. Hawthorne is a desperate liar who will say and do anything in order to have a family with you. You claim there is no way you could have fathered her child, and you intend to prove that today. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor. She claimed that the man she once adored abandoned his responsibilities after their brief, intense encounter years ago, leaving her to raise their 2-year-old son, Chase, alone. With her reputation on the line and financial demands mounting, she demanded justice in a case that had quickly evolved from personal betrayal to a public show.
Why do you say Mr. Brown is a deadbeat?
He doesn't do anything for Chase. He doesn't come see him, anything.
And that makes you so angry?
Yes.
Because you feel like he's not honoring his responsibility?
Right. And plus, I grew up without a father.
But Mr. Brown wasn't having it. He swore up and down that there was no way the child could be his. According to him, this was all part of an elaborate scheme, one fueled by desperation and obsession. Ms. Hawthorne, she was just a woman who wanted a family with him so badly that she'd stop at nothing. But Ms. Hawthorne had her own version of the story, and it was about to get messy.
Hawthorne says you acting like a deadbeat. Why?
Your Honor, this baby isn't mine. I desperately believe that she's emotionally attached to me, and she desperately wants to have a family with me.
It's not true because me and DeAndre, we were in a relationship. We were high school sweethearts. You know, I was all about him.
She had given everything to this man. They started young, their love budding through the screens of their phones, a classic online romance that somehow found its way into real life. She lost her virginity to him, trusted him, built dreams around him, and then he cheated, repeatedly. The heartbreak was unbearable, but even after it all, they still found themselves entangled in each other's lives, and that's when that night in the backseat happened.
It was in December 9th of 2015.
You all reconnect, or did you get back together? What happened?
So I was pretty much leaving my significant other. I was coming over to talk to Bria about us not seeing each other anymore. So we was in the car and we ended up getting into a heated moment, and both of us started kissing and ended up having sex in the backseat.
Now, 3 years later, Mr. Brown stood in front of a judge, denying it all. His defense? A weak one at best. He claimed they were only together once, and that it was a farewell, not a rekindling. He didn't even finish the act. The audience scoffed. The judge raised an eyebrow. Even he had to know how ridiculous that sounded. But Mr. Brown wasn't done making things worse for himself.
So you say you didn't complete the act, and so therefore you can't be Chase's biological father?
Correct, because before I came to her, I had sex with my girlfriend.
What? Okay. You had sex with your girlfriend before you came to see Miss Hawthorne?
Correct, Your Honor.
It doesn't make any kind of sense to me either. And just when it seemed like the courtroom had heard it all, another twist surfaced. Ms. Hawthorne had a male roommate during the time of conception. Mr. Brown jumped on it, but Ms. Hawthorne shut that down quickly.
Mr. Brown,
Yeah, sure.
you say it's a shady situation.
Correct.
But you, the #1 shade tree, because you had sex with your girlfriend, then came there and had sex with Miss Hawthorne.
On the other hand, Mr. Brown's defense was riddled with inconsistencies that only amplified the drama. His story was further undermined by evidence brought in by Ms. Hawthorne's mom. The text suggests that Mr. Brown accepts that he is the father.
Mom, Miss Hawthorne, when you testify, you seem to say that Mr. Brown is pretty much, he's indicated to you that he knows he's the father, that he believes he's the father.
Right, he sent a
through
text
text.
to me. Right.
How?
He sent a December the 4th, I text him and asked him, I said, Bria is not working. Can you get something for the baby? And he said, I don't have the money now. I said, well, I guess Chase won't have a Christmas.
The courtroom was a pressure cooker of emotions as Ms. Hawthorne and Mr. Brown traded barbs about their past. As the heated debate raged on, the judge grew increasingly exasperated by the conflicting accounts. There is only one way to solve this. Long-awaited DNA test results were presented.
Mr. Brown, you are not the father.
Ms. Johnson was defiant. She swore up and down that there was no doubt Mr. Lewis was 6-month-old baby Josiah's father. The only reason he was hesitating, she argued, was because he had let gossip cloud his judgment.
Ms. Johnson, you claim you have no doubts whatsoever that Mr. Lewis is the father of your 6-month-old daughter, Josiah. You say the only reason he doubts paternity is because he heard false rumors.
Her certainty, however, was met with fierce opposition. Mr. Lewis, accompanied by his own mother, maintained that his doubts about being Josiah's father were not the result of unfounded rumors, but stemmed from disturbing claims made by an ex-boyfriend of Ms. Johnson's. According to those whispers, there was a possibility, however remote, that another man could be the biological father.
Now, Mr. Lewis, you and your mother say it's not only the rumors that have caused you to doubt, but also an ex-boyfriend of Ms. Johnson's who claims he might also be the baby's biological father.
The origins of the issue date back to simpler times. Ms. Johnson recalled how her and Mr. Lewis's paths had first crossed during their school days, only to diverge and later reconnect through social media after she ended a previous relationship. Their rekindled friendship quickly blossomed into romance. Just 1 month into their renewed closeness, Ms. Johnson discovered she was pregnant. In her heart, she believed that their union was meant to create a family, and she boldly declared that the child was his.
All started, me and Mr. Lewis was friends back in middle school, and then we stopped talking for a while. And then we met up again through Facebook. I had broke up with my ex, and then me and Mr. Lewis started dating in March of 2013, and I found out that I was pregnant.
As the months passed, doubts began to grow. Mr. Lewis's initial excitement gave way to confusion when his mother received unsettling reports. They claimed that Ms. Johnson's ex-boyfriend had persistently claimed that he might be the father, and more shockingly, some of Ms. Johnson's relatives echoed these sentiments.
When did the doubt come in?
The doubt came in when I spoke with one of Ms. Johnson's family members. That's when the doubt came in.
Really? From her family member?
From one of her family members.
What did they say?
She had told me that my son could be the father, and she also said there could be others that could be the father.
When Mr. Lewis found out that Ms. Johnson was pregnant, he had been present. He went to the hospital with her and all. But then when it was time to have the baby, Ms. Johnson turned into a different person.
He was aware of. Make sure he got there. After she had the baby, he found out through the relative that she had the baby. She had already had the baby maybe 3 days when we found out.
Wait a minute. So you say you had no doubt that he was the father of your child, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah, my jaw dropped to the floor too. That is some cruel and unusual punishment. Instead of clearing Mr. Lewis's doubts, she decided to punish him for it. But But that wasn't all. Ms. Lewis had posted about her son being a father on social media. That's when things took a wild turn. Out of nowhere, the ex-boyfriend slid into her inbox, demanding she call him immediately. And when she did, his words left her shaken.
I made a status on a social network. The ex contacted me.
Wait, what did the status say?
It was something like in reference of my son, finding out that he's a father to now finding out that he may not be the father. It could be somebody else's. So the ex saw my status and sent me a message. And come to find out, I know the ex.
He wasn't just some bitter ex trying to stir up drama. No, he claimed she told him he was the father. He believed he was the father. And the proof? Well, she was living with him. And a quick scroll through his social media revealed a series of damning photos of him proudly holding baby Josiah, captioning them with a single word, Daddy. Mr. Lewis was furious. He had trusted her. But now, it looked like he'd been played for a fool.
And he was on the network holding the baby, saying I'm daddy, with pictures. And I've spoken with him verbally more than once where he was, yeah, I'm the daddy. So he was like, I don't know what's going on.
The courtroom drama escalated when evidence emerged about a three-way phone conversation. Mr. Lewis recalled overhearing a conversation where Ms. Johnson admitted not knowing who the biological father is, even as Ms. Johnson repeatedly claimed that Mr. Lewis was the only man who could be Josiah's father. The murmurings of alternative possibilities had brought doubt that was almost impossible to dispel.
One day, I think it was in March, we had a three-way conversation. She and I was on the phone, and I actually heard her. He asked her who the father between me and Derek, and I heard her say, I don't know.
Okay, let me hear that again. You were on the phone.
Yes, she had me on mute.
This wasn't just about rumors anymore. It was about control. Ms. Johnson had been willing to keep a man away from his child just to make a point. But had she miscalculated? Because if that DNA test came back not in her favor, she'd have a different problem. The moment of truth had arrived.
Mr. Lewis, you are Josiah's father.
He doesn't even know how to treat me with that. He's not compassionate. He cussed me out. I'm doing chemo, and right before I do the chemo, we're arguing, and my blood pressure shot through the roof.
So it's basically blame on me, though?
Yes.
Blame me, blame me, blame me.
I had no time to go nowhere else. I'm not that type of person. I'm not that type of woman.
So, Mr. Merrifield, why is it you have so much doubt? I know the text messages, but when she became pregnant, and she told you, did you immediately say, I don't know if that child is mine?
No, I
You
didn't.
thought at first?
Yeah, when he got here.
Mind you, in the midst of everything, I went on Facebook and seen
Ms. Brown has taken Mr. Rudich to court, hoping to confirm that he's the biological father of her 1-year-old daughter. She insists her child deserves a life supported by both parents. Mr. Rudich, joined by his sister, denies paternity and suspects Ms. Brown was romantically involved with other men.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello, Jerome.
This is the case of Brown versus Rutledge and Rutledge.
Thank you. Good day, everyone.
Good day.
Ms. Brown, you say the only thing that matters to you today is the future of your 1-year-old daughter, Sanaya.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Brown testified that she was intimate with Mr. Rudich and conceived around May 25th as advised by her doctor. She firmly believes no other man could be the father, stressing that their intimacy happened before any formal relationship began.
My doctor told me that I conceived May 25th, which was Memorial Day, which I was over there at his mother's house. He left to go to a cookout and everything, and me and him, had sexual relationship on that day. I did not have sex with anyone else on that day, did not have sex with anyone else around that time.
Mr. Rudich, however, disagreed, stating they were never officially together. He claims their interaction was purely physical and alleges that after dating his cousin, Ms. Brown had brief encounters with both another cousin and his own brother, leaving the courtroom stunned.
It was only sexual relationship. I met Ms. Brown she was seeing my cousin. They was dating for a while. After they broke up, they split up, whatever. She got with my other cousin. Had a one night stand with him.
While Mr. Rudich recounted Ms. Brown once told his brother she was pregnant and needed money for emergency contraception, Brown denied these allegations. She questioned why he would engage in unprotected intimacy with her. He truly doubted her claims.
She ran the same story on my brother and told my brother that she was pregnant by him. She tells my brother that, I need you to give me money for a morning after pill.
Ms. Brown, you left these facts out.
Yes, I left them out, Your Honor, because they're not facts.
Ms. Brown described Mr. Rudich as being consistently present at her home, even leaving personal belongings there. She said his behavior misled her into believing they had a serious relationship until she found his pictures online with another woman, sparking a major argument.
Mind you, in the midst of everything, I went on Facebook and seen pictures of him and his daughter's mother together. So I'm like, okay, so this is where he's at. I'm all upset and everything. So I couldn't wait till he came so I can, talk junk to him about what was going on. And when he came in the house thinking everything was okay, I'm like, no, you was just...
Opening up about her past, Ms. Brown admitted she used to party excessively and struggled with self-worth. She said she once sought affection in the wrong places, but emphasized that those days are behind her. The judge commended her for turning her life around.
Yes, back when I was like, younger, I did, used to be wild. I mean, like partying, drinking, hanging out, stuff like that. And, I've been through a lot of my life and it was to the point where I wasn't really feeling like I was loved. So I would say I would look for love in different places. It may not have been the right way that I was doing it, but I did, and I can admit to that.
She shared that the first person she told about the pregnancy was Mr. Rudich's sister, who warned her she might have to raise the baby alone. Ms. Brown said Mr. Rudich was hesitant when she revealed she was expecting and only believed her after seeing medical proof.
I just told her I was pregnant. She kind of was in shock and stuff, and she just let me know, like, you do know, like, if you decide to keep this baby, it's a chance that you're gonna go through it by yourself, because he does have multiple children. But when I told her that I was pregnant, after I told her, I called Mr. Rutledge.
According to Ms. Brown, Mr. Rudich initially suggested she consider ending the pregnancy, mentioning he already had other children. He later claimed he would be responsible if the child proved to be his, but requested a paternity test upon arriving at her home.
Don't know what I'm gonna do. He really kind of leaned towards me getting an abortion. He wanted me to get an abortion, but he was like, but if she's mine, he always kept saying, like, if she's mine. So he's like, but if she's mine, I will take care of her.
So, Mr. Rutledge, when you heard from Ms. Brown...
Support her claims. Ms. Brown brought her sister to the witness stand. Her sister backed many of Ms. Brown's statements, including that Mr. Rudich was offered a DNA test previously. Only the DNA test can now reveal the truth.
It has been determined by this court that you are her father.
What? Now what? What y'all gotta say now? Exactly.
Mr. Barlow has brought Miss Winslow to court, expressing doubts about fathering her child. He claims all his 8 other children resemble him, but this one doesn't. He even suggested he knows who the actual father is.
Your Honor.
Hello.
This is the case of Barlow versus...
Thank you, Jerome. Good day, everyone.
Good day, Young.
Mr. Barlow, you say your 8 kids look exactly like you, but the defendant's son, Jabril, looks nothing like you. And that's because you're not his father.
Barlow stated he was out of town during the time of conception and suspects Miss Winslow was involved with their landlord in his absence. His comments stirred the courtroom, and when he used a derogatory phrase, the judge firmly reminded him to mind his words.
While I was away, you understand? While I was away, I believe she was sleeping with the landlord.
You do?
Yeah.
And that's not possible, Your Honor. The landlord...
Why do you believe that? What evidence do you think?
While I was away, I would call all the time because I got a loan pass.
Barlow claimed every time he called home, the landlord was present. Miss Winslow counted, saying the landlord was just doing his job, handling repairs personally since the building has no contractors. She added that heavy tasks like assembling furniture weren't possible for her while pregnant.
She says, yo, you calling me, he here, call me back.
Your Honor, the landlord was there at the house.
So you're saying when you would call, the landlord would be there and she'd tell you to call back?
Yeah.
He was doing his landlord responsibility.
So why hang up on me when I'm paying for the phone
Because
call?
I need my undivided attention to see what's going on with the house.
She defended the landlord's late-night visits, explaining that with no staff in the 3-story building, he's the one who shows up, even at night, to handle emergencies. And she was expecting and couldn't set up bunk beds for her kids. He came to help. The courtroom applauded her explanation.
Because he doesn't have contractors. He does things
so what his
in a
so-called girlfriend about
building
this?
himself. He doesn't have a hired contractor. He's doing everything himself. So if he has to come at 10 o'clock at night to fix some water that's leaking from my roof with 3 children in my house, then that's what he's gonna do.
Barlow claimed he called over 80 times while away, and Miss Winslow often told him she was busy or that the landlord was around. He accused her of dodging his calls. Miss Winslow responded that he wasn't calling to talk, he was eavesdropping, trying to catch her in something.
Furniture did he buy?
What he's talking about is I didn't have a bed.
living room
Winslow,
set.
just a second.
A living room set, a kitchen set. Like, once again, the bed that he put together. You understand what I'm saying?
So you say he's down there, he's over there doing a lot of manly duties.
Yeah, but how about this?
Miss Winslow pointed out that Barlow's constant suspicions were a projection of his own cheating habits. She said she'd never been unfaithful. She revealed Barlow had never even seen the landlord before and wrongly assumed he was old until discovering he was around their age, which sparked Barlow's jealousy.
Because I hadn't cheated on him. You know what the real problem is, Your Honor? Mr. Barlow didn't know what the landlord looked like. So when he finally saw the landlord, he was like, oh, I thought the landlord was old. When he found out he was around our age.
Interestingly, Miss Winslow admitted the baby doesn't resemble either her or Barlow. She wondered if there could have been a hospital mix-up, possibly a baby switch at birth. Judge Lauren was taken aback, stating she'd never encountered such a claim in her courtroom.
However, he doesn't look like me or Mr. Barlow.
So what you're saying is your son is very fair-skinned.
Like,
oh, he's a beautiful little boy.
Yeah, that's...
And so you feel like when you look at him, though, you don't see any resemblance.
Nah, he ain't me.
The judge paused proceedings to verify the truth. When she returned with maternity results, it was confirmed Miss Winslow is the biological mother. Miss Winslow breathed a sigh of relief, overwhelmed by the confirmation.
I needed to look through the results. I had to find the maternity portion of the results so that I could confirm whether or not you are, in fact, Jabril's mother. These results state that the probability of maternity...
Gasps filled the room. She said some people claim her baby looks Hispanic, and because the landlord is Colombian, Barlow believes he's the real father. But only DNA can reveal the truth.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Barlow, you are the father.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor.
So far, we've only seen the trailer. What you're about to see will blow your mind, so keep watching.
She said that I was her father.
Okay, but what about when she was 10?
When she was 10,
and we were together, and she was calling you daddy.
Told me that she was my father.
You told me that she looked like you.
Okay,
similarity.
I said that.
Okay.
I know I said
okay,
that,
then.
but I didn't say.
So
did you say that I was her father?
Mr. Fields, you are...
Ms. Graves fears her marriage is hanging by a thread. She's desperate to prove that her husband, Mr. Baker, is the biological father of her 19-year-old daughter. Mr. Baker, however, has serious doubts, claiming she once told him there were other possible fathers.
Graves, you state your marriage is on the rocks and on the brink of divorce.
Yes, ma'am.
You're suing your husband, Mr. Baker, for a paternity test to prove that he's your 19-year-old daughter, Vanisha's biological father. You claim you're hoping this DNA test will fix your family.
She says her home doesn't feel like one anymore. Her husband is distant, emotionally absent, and she's left carrying the weight of the relationship alone, trying to keep it from crumbling.
2 years ago, you had a daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
And for a year, he thought it was his biological daughter.
Yes.
But you were honest that it may or may not be. Ultimately, you had a DNA test and it was determined that, in fact, he was not the biological father of your older daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
This is the reason why you believe he has doubt concerning your daughter, Vanisha.
Correct.
Shockingly, this isn't the first time something like this has happened. In the past, Mr. Baker raised a child for a full year, only to find out he wasn't the father. So, it's not surprising he's now filled with suspicion.
Mr. Baker, why are you cursing a 19-year-old girl? What is this behavior?
I mean, verbal words come out due to the fact that, you know, hey, she felt like I hurt her. So,
well, he does me the same
So
way.
what I'm trying to understand is, Ms. Graves, you believe this treatment, the way that he interacts with your daughter is based upon his doubt?
Yes.
Still, while Ms. Graves admits her faults, she insists that Mr. Baker crossed a line by verbally attacking the children. She believes past mistakes don't give him the right to mistreat innocent kids who had no part in the drama.
You have always told him he's Vanisha's father.
Well, when she was 5, I went to his mother's house, and I said, Michael, I seen some resemblance. So I went to him and I said, Michael, Mr. Baker, I think we need to do a paternity test.
But do looks always count?
He cursed me out and belittled me in front of many of people.
Oh my.
Their courtroom appearance makes it crystal clear. This couple has been battling trust issues for years. It's hard to believe they once came together to build a family, considering how deep their resentment runs now.
That I was her father.
Okay, but what about when she was 10?
When she was 10.
And we were together, and she was calling you daddy.
Told me that she was my father.
her father.
You told me
You
that
told
she
me that.
looked like you.
Okay,
It was similarity.
I said that.
Okay.
I know I said
Okay,
that,
then.
but I didn't
So
say,
he
did
been
you say
knowing
that I was her father?
Ms. Graves, despite the accusations, is trying to speak her truth. Her husband, on the other hand, seems to be clinging to doubts instead of facing facts. The worst part? Their daughter is caught in the middle of their shouting matches.
He doesn't even know how to treat me with that. He's not compassionate. He cussed me out. You know, I'm doing chemo, and right before I do the chemo, we're arguing, and my blood pressure shot
It was
through the
basically a
roof.
blame on me, though.
Yes.
Blame me, blame me, blame me.
To make matters worse, Miss Graves is battling a serious health issue, yet Mr. Baker appears more focused on whether or not he fathered the child than on her well-being. His lack of compassion is hard to watch.
Doubts, specifically as
Like
it
I
relates
say,
to her.
it's not just me, it's two other guys, you know. And the timing, yeah, you might say that we were here and there, but at the same time, the timing, it could match up and it could not match up.
The two other men, how did you find out about these?
I mean,
two
she
other
told me about them. Miss Graves told me about
What
them.
did she tell you?
She said that it could be a possibility that two other guys that she's involved with could be the father of Miss Curl.
What adds even more fuel to this fiery case is that Miss Graves once confessed to Mr. Baker that two other men could potentially be the father. So now, even she isn't fully confident in her claim.
Talk me through this. Vanisha's birth date is what?
July 28th, 95.
So when you put in her birth date, July 28th, 1995, and you press calculate.
Yes, ma'am.
It gave you dates of conception of October 31st through November 8th, 1994, meaning that was during the time of Halloween where you were intimate with Mr. Baker.
I was honest.
So timelines overlap. She was with Mr. Baker and the other men around the same period. It's a tangled mess, and with so many unanswered questions, it's clear that only a DNA test can finally reveal the truth and end the chaos.
Mr. Baker, you are not her father.
You're my daughter no matter what. Okay, I'm sorry.
Miss Foster has brought her case to court requesting a DNA test to confirm that Mr. Fields is the biological father of her 17-month-old daughter who suffers from severe health issues. Her plea is simple. She just wants him to take responsibility.
Ms. Foster, you've petitioned the court for a DNA test to prove that the defendant fathered your 17-month-old daughter, Sienna, a beautiful little girl born with extreme medical need. You've dragged him to court to order he pay the support he's been neglecting. Mr. Fields, you say you're 100% certain that you are not her child's father because she was pregnant before you met.
Mr. Fields, however, insists the child was conceived before they ever met. Despite the baby's critical condition, his only contribution so far has been a few onesies and socks. It's baffling how someone could ignore a child in need like that.
What happened the first night?
She came to my house, you understand? She had bought some new shorts. I was trying to be respectable and I asked her, do you want to go in the bathroom and change your clothes? She tells me no.
Even Judge Lauren was caught off guard when Mr. Fields casually admitted they had sex the very first night they met. What made it even more shocking, Ms. Foster claimed she was a virgin at the time. Her mother picked her up right after.
He said that you were saying you were a virgin at that time. Were you?
I was practically, before him, there was some
What's
other guy.
practically?
There was
How
some
can you
other
be
guy.
practically a
There was
virgin?
some other guy
That's
before him, and I
impossible.
don't count that as a partner.
Now, Miss Foster's claim of being practically a virgin has stirred confusion. Either you are or you're not. There's no in between. That night clearly proved she wasn't, regardless of what she believed.
You're saying that Ms. Foster was trying to get your number and was texting your brother and your mother trying to get your phone number. I'm asking you, why is this out of the ordinary if she believes you're her child's father? Of course she would
Because-
try to get in touch with you. You think she's trying to get in touch with you because she wants to be with you?
The judge looked completely overwhelmed, like a teacher trying to mediate a playground fight. But this isn't some minor spat. There's a sick baby at the center of this mess, and all the finger pointing won't help her get better.
This is not gonna last with her.
Where that's coming
this
from?
Is temporary.
What is this?
A Facebook message.
A Facebook message that says, I still have love for you that will never change. I wish we would have had a longer relationship. Even with my girlfriend now, our relationship not going to last long.
Miss Foster then produced messages from Mr. Fields saying he wasn't happy in his current relationship and that he envisioned a future with her. As expected, he brushed it off, claiming she misread his words.
So, Mr. Fields, you came to the hospital for the birth, and why was that? If you didn't think the child was yours?
Because of the medical condition that the baby was in, you know, I didn't want to just up and leave.
He was there through the whole pregnancy, basically, and except a month.
She insisted he was deeply involved from the start, by her side during the delivery, visiting her at her mother's house, and showing up when the baby needed care. Mr. Fields claimed it was just sympathy due to the child's illness, but that explanation feels thin.
Family meeting. His family got into his head. Me and his mother actually had a good relationship, so I honestly don't know what happened. Towards the end, I'm not gonna lie, I was really rude to Jay Qual during my pregnancy because I was underneath a lot of stress.
Then came a brutal moment. Mr. Fields coldly told Miss Foster to suck it up after she spoke about losing her twins. His lack of empathy was shocking. The courtroom visibly tensed at his callous response.
This cavalier, I don't care, everything's a shrug of the shoulders, nothing matters to me, when we're sitting here talking about a child that literally is fighting for her life to have a healthy life.
Unsurprisingly, Judge Lauren didn't let that comment slide. She laid into Mr. Fields for his insensitivity. With emotions running high, everyone turned their eyes to the DNA results, because only science can end this painful standoff once and for all.
Mr. Fields, you are her father.
Mrs. Moon Merrifield has brought her husband to court, desperate to keep her family from falling apart. She wants to prove to Mr. Merrifield that he is, without a doubt, the biological father of their 20-month-old son.
Field, you say your family is in jeopardy of being torn apart.
Yes, Your Honor.
You've dragged your husband, Mr. Merrifield, to paternity court to prove that he fathered your 20-month-old son, Cain.
Yes, Your
You
Honor.
claim he's been denying your son since birth.
Yes, Your Honor.
Despite everything, it's clear she still cares deeply for him. She insists that although their relationship has seen its share of mistakes, she has remained faithful throughout their marriage.
You have the divorce papers already filled out. They're just, what, awaiting execution?
I need to find out the answer if this is my child or not.
He always results to that. Anytime we have a fight or an argument or whatever, it's always divorce.
Mr. Merrifield, on the other hand, is already preparing for divorce. He says he's ready to end the marriage if the child turns out not to be his, and Mrs. Merrifield admits he brings up divorce every time they argue.
The reason why we're here in the first place, man, I caught her texting some dude that supposedly was supposed to be her ex-boyfriend that was right before my two sons was born.
Yeah, he did.
I've seen some Facebook messages from these guys, this person before.
Seems Mr. Merrifield has trouble trusting her, especially since she texts other men, even though he's still in touch with former flings who leave comments on his Facebook posts. The double standard isn't lost on anyone.
And you say, are you messing with my wife?
Yes.
And he says, hey, bro, don't nobody want your wife. I'm far from it. And I'm not about to be arguing with you. You need to be with your wife instead of acting like a clown.
Mrs. Merrifield claims her communication with other men is harmless. She insists she never crossed the line, especially with the man she frequently texts, just a longtime friend, according to her.
We was together, the first 3 years was good, all the way up until 18. Once we turned 18, she started saying, I was her first boyfriend, first everything, so she wants to experience, other men and other things. So I'm like, okay, I have to deal with that. She'll break up with me for a weekend, go do whatever she want to do and come back and want to be back together on a Wednesday.
That's a
you know
lie.
what I'm saying?
Appears to be years of mistrust between the couple. The problems didn't begin with this child. They've been building over time due to a lack of open communication and mutual respect.
Mr. Merrifield,
yes.
Can you please explain to me the doubt you have concerning Cain's paternity?
Okay, the doubt that I have, the reason why I have doubt is I found her texting 3 different dudes.
16 years of marriage, and yet they argue like strangers. Every sentence sounds like a trigger, and it's obvious Judge Lauren's patience is wearing thin as she tries to make sense of their tangled story.
Do you have proof that your wife was intimate with anyone else during that time
Besides
as well?
the text messages, no. But her ex-boyfriend, the one who I think might be the dad, she was talking to his mother and sent her a picture of his 1-year-old son.
Despite all his suspicions, Mr. Merrifield has never actually caught his wife in a compromising situation, basing his accusations on assumptions and text messages, which might all just be paranoia.
You know about this situation. Mr. Merrifield has stated that the reason why his wife says she's even with him is because it's your fault, because you took him in and she had no one else to date and now she's caught in this.
That's what she said all the time.
Mrs. Merrifield's mother stepped in and delivered a dose of tough love to both of them. She made it clear she supports them, but won't hesitate to call them out when they're wrong. Definitely the voice of reason in this chaos.
I had no time to go nowhere else. I'm not that type of person. I'm not that type of woman.
So, Mr. Merrifield, why is it you have so much doubt? I know the text messages, but when she became pregnant
and she told you,
did you immediately say, I don't know if that child is mine?
No. No, I
You
didn't.
thought at first.
Yeah, I mean, when he got here.
When it comes down to it, not every child will look like their father. Genetics can be unpredictable, but enough of the back and forth. It's time to let the DNA test bring the truth into the light.
Mr. Merrifield, you are Cain's father.
Or apologies, Devontae.
Ms. Brown brings Mr. Rutledge to court in a bid to prove that he's the biological father of her 1-year-old daughter. She said her child deserves to have 2 parents. Mr. Rutledge, who appears alongside his sister, believes that he's not the father of the child. He claims that Ms. Brown was involved with other men.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello, Jerome.
This is the case of Brown versus Rutledge and Rutledge.
Thank you. Good day, everyone.
Good day.
Ms. Brown, you say the only thing that matters to you today is the future of your 1-year-old daughter, Sanaya.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Brown said she and Mr. Rutledge had sexual relations. She said her doctor told her she conceived on May 25th. She said she had sex with Mr. Rutledge and no one else around that time. She said all this happened before she got into a normal relationship with Mr. Rutledge. She said she's pretty sure.
My doctor told me that I conceived May 25th, which was Memorial Day, which I was over there at his mother's house. He left to go to a cookout and everything, and me and him, had sexual relationship on that day. I did not have sex with anyone else on that day, did not have sex with anyone else around that time.
Mr. Rutledge said he was never in a normal relationship with Ms. Brown. They only had a sexual relationship. He said he met Ms. Brown after she broke up with his cousin. Then she had a one-night stand with another of his cousins. He said she left that cousin and hooked up with his brother. The entire courtroom gasped.
It was only sexual relationship. I met Miss Brown from, she was seeing my cousin, they was dating for a while. After they broke up, they split up, whatever. She got with my other cousin, had a one night stand with him.
Mr. Rutledge said when Ms. Brown was with his brother, she told him the same story, that she was pregnant by him, that he should give her money for a morning after pill. Ms. Brown said she left out those facts because they weren't true. She said that if Mr. Rutledge felt that way about her situation with his cousins and brother, why did he then have unprotected sex with her?
She ran the same story on my brother and told my brother that she was pregnant by him. She tells my brother that, oh, I need you to give me money for a morning after pill.
Ms. Brown, you left these facts out.
Yes, I left them out, Your Honor, because they're not facts.
Ms. Brown said that Mr. Rutledge was always at her house. His clothes were at her house. She claims that Mr. Rutledge led her on, making her think they were in a relationship. She said an argument broke out after he disappeared for 4 days, and she saw his pictures on Facebook with his daughter's mother. That was when Mr. Rutledge told her that she wasn't his girlfriend.
Mind you, in the midst of everything, I went on Facebook and seen pictures of him and his daughter's mother together. So I'm like, okay, so this is where he's at. I'm all upset and everything, so I couldn't wait till he came so I can, talk junk to him about what was going on. And when he came in the house thinking everything was okay, I'm like, no, you was just...
Ms. Brown said when she was younger that she used to be wild, partying and drinking, that she was at a really bad point in her life where she felt she wasn't loved and she was looking for love in the wrong. She said it's all in the past, that she has changed. The judge lauded her for getting her life.
Yes, back when I was younger, I did, used to be wild. I mean, like partying, drinking, hanging out, stuff like that. And, I've been through a lot in my life and it was to the point where I wasn't really feeling like I was loved. So I would say I would look for love in different places. It may not have been the right way that I was doing it, but I did, and I can admit to that.
Ms. Brown said she first broke the news of her pregnancy to Mr. Rutledge's sister. She said his sister told her that if she decides to keep the baby, there's a high chance she will go through it by herself. She said that Mr. Rutledge has other multiple children. She later told Mr. Rutledge that she was pregnant. She said he was skeptical until she showed her the papers.
I just told her I was pregnant. She kind of was in shock and stuff, and she just let me know, you do know, if you decide to keep this baby, it's a chance that you're gonna go through it by yourself, because he does have other multiple children. But when I told her that I was pregnant, after I told her, I called Mr. Rutledge.
Ms. Brown said Mr. Rutledge told her that he already has kids and stuff. She said he was leaning towards her getting an abortion. She said that he later said that if the baby was his, he would take care of the baby. Mr. Rutledge said when he got to Ms. Brown's house, he immediately told her he wanted a DNA test.
Don't know what I'm gonna do. He really kind of leaned towards me getting an abortion. He wanted me to get an abortion, but he was like, but if she's mine, he always kept saying if she's mine. So he's like, but if she's mine, I will take care of her.
So Mr. Rutledge, when you heard from from Ms. Brown.
Ms. Brown called her sister as a witness to the stand. The sister corroborated a lot of the things Ms. Brown initially said. She said they offered Mr. Rutledge the chance to take a DNA test before, but he didn't show up. Mr. Rutledge countered. He said they were the ones that didn't show up. A heated argument broke out between the 4 individuals present in the court. The judge had to call them to order. Only the DNA results can put an end to this.
It has been determined by this court that you are her father.
What? Now what? What y'all gotta say now? Exactly.
Ms. Brown Murray comes to Judge Lauren's courtroom to prove that she didn't cheat on her husband while serving in the military in Iraq. Mr. Murray, on the other hand, wholeheartedly believes his wife cheated on him, and he's not sure he's the father of their child. He claims his wife got pregnant too soon after returning from Iraq.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello.
This is a case of Brown Murray versus Murray.
Thank you, Jerome. Good day, everyone. Ms. Brown Murray, first I'd like to say thank you so much for your service to our country. Today you say you stand before me outraged.
Ms. Brown Murray said serving overseas was very challenging, that there were temptations, but that doesn't mean you have to go outside your marriage and cheat. The entire courtroom clapped. She said she didn't cheat, that there's a rule in the military that forbids this. She said she reassures her husband by Skyping with him almost every day, except on days she was inside the bunker because of bomb explosions.
I'll be honest, when you're overseas at first, I mean, there's gonna be temptations, and there's gonna be guys that look good, and there's gonna be guys all around, and you're gonna see guys, but that doesn't mean that you have to cheat and you have to go outside of your marriage. There's temptation all around, but
Mr. Murray said his wife went overseas a day after Valentine's Day. He continued by stating some of the insecurities he felt because he was 22 years older than his wife. He was worried that there would be younger men on the base that she might fall in love with. He said he was also scared for life because of the risk. He mentioned an incident that occurred while he was Skyping with his wife.
What made it scary for me, first time me being alone in another state with no family. My wife is deploying overseas. Don't know if I'm gonna ever see her again. And if I do see her again in one piece, is she still gonna have love for me? It's a lot of men's on base, younger men's.
Ms. Brown Murray said while she was over there in Iraq, she had a male friend. She said this was what made her husband suspicious. Mr. Murray said the apartment complex he was living in was filled with 85% military personnel, some active and some retired. He said a young military man told him that while overseas in the base, the married ladies slept with other men. That was when he started getting worried.
While I was there in the apartment complex, I met a few people. This apartment complex has 85% of military people either still active or not. And this young boy told me, he said, what you really, this is when I really got worried.
Mr. Murray invited a witness, a former military man who joined the courtroom virtually and anonymously. The man gave out a disclaimer that the actions of a few soldiers doesn't reflect the military. He said that when soldiers are deployed overseas, that they tend to cling to others. He said some married folks would step out to cheat, that they have a term for it.
Her child is his biological child. Can you explain?
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, I don't want to bring any discredit upon the military, but there are a lot of times where you join the military and you're away from home, and so the first thing you can do is cling to people.
Ms. Brown Murray said her husband believes that her close friend overseas is the real father of their child. Mr. Murray said when he was with his wife in the car, the male friend started calling her. He asked her why he was calling. She said he was just checking up on her. Ms. Brown Murray said he was just calling to check if she made it home alive because he left the deployment before her.
Is that who your husband thinks the father of your child really is?
yes, that's who he thinks that I had sex with.
Wait a minute, let me back that up. When I picked her up in November, we was riding around in the car. I'm asking her, I thought it was kind of odd. Why is he calling you?
Mr. Murray said his wife got him some new shoes and he heard her on the phone speaking with someone. She told the person that he wasn't stupid. He asked her who the person was, and she said it was the male friend from the military. Mr. Murray said she was flirting with him on the phone because of the tone of her voice.
She's sitting on the couch. She had bought me some Jordan, and I'm wearing my Jordans. She's talking to him. I heard her tell him, he's not stupid. He's not stupid. And, you know, well, she ain't talking to her mother like that. She ain't talking to her sister like, who are you talking to? She said his name.
Ms. Brown Murray said, even with the doubts concerning paternity, that Mr. Murray is still a good father to their daughter. She said he takes care of her and plays with her, even when she is at work. Mr. Murray said he has other kids, that his other kids are a split image of him. He said the daughter doesn't look much like him.
What has it been like to come home, to make it home alive, come back to your husband, and then you have a beautiful daughter, and he doubts whether or not it's his child?
It's exciting to be able to come home, but with the doubt.
Mr. Murray said his wife's sexual appetite changed when she returned, which was suspicious to him because she wasn't like that before. He said one night out of the blue, she showed him the pregnancy test, and before she came back, the doctor diagnosed him with a low sperm count. He said that's why he had his doubts concerning paternity. Only the DNA results can settle this.
Mr. Murray, it has been determined by this court that you are her father.
Thank you.
Mr. Barlow brings Ms. Winslow to court. He claims his 8 kids looked like him, but he's not sure he's the father of Ms. Winslow's child because there's no resemblance between both of them. He said he knows who the real father is. Ms. Winslow is adamant that Mr. Barlow is the father, and if it turns out that he isn't, she said she knows the reason why.
Your Honor.
Hello.
This is the case of Barlow versus...
Thank you, Jerome. Good day, everyone.
Good day, Young.
Mr. Barlow, you say your 8 kids look exactly like you, but the defendant's son, Jabril, looks nothing like you. And that's because you're not his father.
Mr. Barlow said he was away during the conception of the child. He said he believes while he was away that Ms. Winslow was sleeping with the landlord. Some members of the audience exclaimed. Mr. Barlow said he had a long history of infidelity, that when he went away, Ms. Winslow told him that payback is a B percentile dodge. The judge told him to watch his language.
While I was away, you understand? While I was away, I believe she was sleeping with the landlord.
You do?
Yeah.
And that's not possible, Your Honor. The landlord...
Why do you believe that? What evidence do you think?
While I was away, I would call all the time because I got a long past of infidelity.
Mr. Barlow said most times when he called, the landlord was always present there. Ms. Winslow said he was carrying out his landlord duties. She said the landlord requires her undivided attention, especially when he was there to fix something in the apartment. Mr. Barlow said the landlord was at the apartment at 10 p.m., putting the bed together.
She says, yo, you calling me, he here, call me back.
Your Honor, the landlord was there at the house.
So you're saying when you would call, the landlord would be there and she'd tell you to call back?
Yeah.
He was doing his landlord responsibility.
So why hang up on me when I'm paying for the phone call?
Because he need my undivided attention to see what's going on with the house.
Ms. Winslow said the landlord doesn't have hired contractors in the 3-story building, that he handled everything himself, that if there's a leaking roof in her apartment at night with 3 kids there, that the landlord will come and fix it. The entire courtroom clapped. Ms. Winslow said she was pregnant at the time, that she can't possibly put bunk beds together. That's why she called the landlord.
Because he doesn't have contractors. He does things
so what his
in a
so-called girlfriend
three-story
about
building
this?
himself. He doesn't have a hired contractor. He's doing everything himself. So if he has to come at 10 o'clock at night to fix some water that's leaking from my roof with 3 children in my house, then that's what he's gonna do.
Mr. Barlow said he called over 80 times when he was away, and almost every time, Ms. Winslow would say she can't talk right now. Other times, she would say she got the landlord there and that she can't talk to him right now. Ms. Winslow said he was calling to hear background noises and he would be asking who's there, knowing fully well that she had 3 kids at home.
What furniture did he buy?
What he's talking about is I didn't have a bed.
living room
Winslow,
set.
just a second.
A living room set, a kitchen set. Like, once again, the bed that he put together. You understand what I'm saying?
So you say he's down there, he's over there doing a lot of manly duties.
Yeah, but how about this?
Ms. Winslow said Mr. Barlow's insecurity stems from the fact that he was a cheat himself, and she hasn't cheated on him before. She also said Mr. Barlow didn't know what the landlord looked like, that he thought the landlord was old. When he finally saw the landlord was around the same age as them, his insecurities went over the roof. Mr. Barlow said he saw Ms. Winslow, the landlord, and his kids moving together with ice creams and sodas.
Because I haven't cheated on him. You know what the real problem is, Your Honor? Mr. Barlow didn't know what the landlord looked like. So when he finally saw the landlord, he was like, oh, I thought the landlord was old. When he found out he was around our age.
Ms. Winslow said the child doesn't look like her or Mr. Barlow. She thinks something might have happened at the hospital. She believes that the baby was swapped. She said it would be devastating to her if she eventually found out that that was what happened. She said she would have to start looking for her real child. Judge Lauren said that was the first time in this courtroom she's hearing about a baby being swapped.
However, he doesn't look like me or Mr. Barlow.
So what you're saying is your son is very fair-skinned. Oh, he's a beautiful little boy.
Yeah, that's...
And so you feel like when you look at him, though, you don't see any resemblance.
Nah, he ain't me.
The judge adjourned the court to consult the results before proceeding. She said she wanted to make sure that Ms. Winslow was the real mother of the child. She returned from her chambers and read the maternity test. The results showed that Ms. Winslow was indeed the mother of the child. Ms. Winslow was happy, and she said she was relieved.
Search, I needed to look through the results. I had to find the maternity portion of the results so that I could confirm whether or not you are, in fact, Jabril's mother. These results state that the probability of maternity...
Ms. Winslow said during the time she had been together with Mr. Barlow, he has had twins and triplets outside. The entire courtroom gasped. She said people were saying her child looked Hispanic, and because the landlord was Colombian, Mr. Barlow was insisting the landlord is the real father. Only the DNA results can settle this feud.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Barlow, you are the father.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor.
Ms. Rogers brings her elementary school sweetheart, Mr. Stone, to court. She claims that Mr. Stone is the father of her son. Mr. Stone claims that Ms. Rogers is promiscuous, and it was only a casual fling. He said that Ms. Rogers has slept with some of his friends, that it was impossible that he was the father.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello.
Rogers versus Stone.
Thank you, Jerome. Good day, everyone. Ms. Rogers, you say after an encounter with your elementary sweetheart, you ended up pregnant. You say the defendant has gone through great lengths to deny he is the father of your son, Christian. Mr. Stone.
Ms. Rogers said she was childhood friends with Mr. Stone, but they both lost contact with each other for some time. She said she was at her friend's house one day, and Mr. Stone walked in. She said they reconnected, they talked and laughed, and they ended up having sex with each other that day. She said they had sex multiple times that same day.
Never kept in touch because we were so young. And one day, after so many years of being apart, I was at my friend's house, or I was at her boyfriend's house, and we was talking, laughing, joking about old times, how you been, catching up and stuff.
Ms. Rogers said it became a normal occurrence. They consistently had sex with each other for a month. She said it continued until she found out that Mr. Stone had a girlfriend. They stopped talking. Mr. Stone objected. He said that when he saw Ms. Rogers at his friend's place, she was already hooked up with one of his friends. She was sitting on his lap. Ms. Rogers refuted the statement.
Repeatedly, we would hang out, have sex, and it went on about like a month. Once I found out that he had a girlfriend, we stopped talking.
You had no idea?
I did not have no idea that he had a girlfriend. He told me about a girl that he had talked to, but he stopped talking to her.
Mr. Stone said that all the time he had sex with Ms. Rogers, he was always wearing a condom. He said they only had unprotected sex once. Ms. Rogers said that he's lying, that they had unprotected sex several times. Mr. Stone said the only other time was during a threesome. The whole courtroom gasped. The threesome happened between Ms. Rogers, Mr. Stone, and his girlfriend.
I was not sitting on nobody's lap.
Your Honor, when I walked in, we caught eyes. She was on his lap, and
I was not
like
on
I
his
said,
lap.
we ended up talking.
He could make you believe I was not.
One at a time.
Separated from everybody, we started talking. Yes, we ended up leaving from one of my friend's house, went to her friend's house. We did have sex.
Mr. Stone said that one of his close friends told him he slept with Ms. Rogers. He said when Ms. Rogers told him she was pregnant, it was around the same time she was also sleeping with one of his friends. Ms. Rogers said the statement was false. She said the time she was having sex with Mr. Stone, she didn't have sex with anyone else.
So your friends were talking?
Yes.
And you all basically compared notes?
No, what happened was that
all lying together.
I told him like I knew Destiny for a while, you feel me? So I was like, you talked to her? He like, yeah, I talked to her. We did this, we did that. So I'm like, oh, really? You feel me?
Ms. Rogers said she found out she was pregnant when she went to the doctor to get her birth control pills. She said she wasn't trying to have more kids, that she already has 3 kids. Everyone was shocked. The judge said she's just 18 years old with 3 kids. Ms. Rogers said she just got accepted into college, so she didn't want any kids.
And we was all telling people, oh, we went to school together. I was not sitting
But listen, Ms. Rogers, it really doesn't matter. At the end of the day, I mean, even if you were sitting on the friend's lap or you weren't, at the end of the night, you were sitting on Mr. Stone's. That's the problem.
Ms. Rogers said when she found out she was pregnant, she was already 4 months in. She said they gave her the date of her conception. That's why she's certain that Mr. Stone is the father. Mr. Stone argued that the dates didn't add up. He said they were intimate during late November. but the conception date was early November.
Ever seeing ultrasound pictures
Yes,
of the
through a
baby?
text message that I got through a friend.
So at what point did you determine the baby was Mr. Stone?
When that day I went to that ultrasound, I found out I was having a boy, and that lady told me when my baby was conceived.
Okay, so at your ultrasound, got the date.
Ms. Rogers submitted a calendar to the court. The calendar showed the timeline between her conception date and birth date. The judge told Mr. Stone that looking at the calendar that there's a high possibility he could be the father. Mr. Stone said he knew that, but he's still not ruling out the things he knows and saw.
I went over my due date because Christian was a very big baby, and my body wasn't trying to get him
Definitely
to
ain't hear
come
about
out.
that one either.
You say you were intimate with Mr. Stone in November, and that's when the doctors told you conceived.
Mr. Stone said the baby was forced on him. He said during a conversation he had then with Ms. Rogers, she told him that there's a possibility he couldn't be the father. Mr. Stone said he wasn't notified when she found she was pregnant. He said he found out through a friend. The judge said that both parties haven't agreed on one thing since. Only the DNA results can put this matter to bed.
And determined by this court. Mr. Stone, you...
Told you I got lying about nothing. I know what I did. I paid for extra.
Mr. Patrick brings his girlfriend, Ms. Pence, to court. He claims that 5 years ago he made a grave mistake by opening his door to a stranger. He believes the stranger is the father of Ms. Pence's 4-year-old fraternal twins. Ms. Pence is certain that Mr. Patrick is the father, and the DNA result will prove her innocence.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello.
Patrick versus Pence.
Thank you, Jerome. Good day, everyone. Good day. Mr. Patrick, you say 5 years ago you made a huge mistake by opening your doors to a stranger who needed a place to stay because that man betrayed you and slept with your girlfriend, Ms. Pence.
Mr. Patrick said when they got a house, they met a gentleman who needed somewhere to stay. The stranger offered to pay his bills and stuff. He was basically renting a room. Mr. Patrick said the stranger stayed for 5 to 6 days and he moved out. He was baffled why the stranger left that fast. He said one day his girlfriend went to the neighbor's house across that street and spent the whole day there.
Help pay the bills and stuff.
So
Which
you
I thought would
basically
be,
took in a person that was going to rent a room?
Yeah, basically, yes.
Okay.
Well, he stayed maybe 5 or 6 days and he up and moved out. And I questioned her. I said, wonder why he just upped and left. Is it because me and you argue a lot?
Mr. Patrick said when she returned, her hair was a wreck. He said that Ms. Pence didn't say anything coherent. She was talking in circles. Ms. Pence confessed that at that time she told Mr. Patrick that she had been sleeping with the gentleman that stayed with them. The entire courtroom gasped. She said it was a one-time thing. It didn't happen again. She said Mr. Patrick still believed that it happened more than once.
Really? And her hair's a wreck. You know, she looked like she went through a hurricane or something.
Miss Pence, you got missing overnight?
I did, Your Honor.
Why was you gone all night? You know what I mean? What'd you do? Who was you with?
And what was her response?
She just was talking in circles, basically.
I confessed, Your Honor.
Ms. Pence said Mr. Patrick had always accused her of cheating even before the incident happened. Mr. Patrick said she was too flirtatious. Ms. Pence said that was how she was raised, that she was from the South. Mr. Patrick said he was raised differently. Ms. Pence said she had never slept with anyone before that.
I kind of went looking for him. Larry had continuously, from day one, accused me of cheating constantly.
Mr. Patrick?
Yes, Mr. Patrick. I had never slept with anyone else before that night. I had constantly...
so flirtatious.
I was constant...
Ms. Pence said there was no specific reason as to why that guy. She said it was just someone that was around, and it happened. She said when the guy moved out, she went out with her neighbor to look for him, and they ended up having a one-night stand. She said nothing happened after that night. She said it's probably the biggest mistake she has made in her life.
Well, I have another question. Why that guy? You say you left the house and you said I went looking for him. And I told him if he kept pushing me and kept saying I was cheating, that it's going to happen, and it did that night. Why that guy? Like you went out looking for him.
There was no specific reason as to why that guy.
Ms. Pence submitted a calendar that shows her the date of her conception and the date of the birth of the twins. She said it was the time she was having sex with Mr. Patrick. Mr. Patrick refuted. He said it doesn't mean anything that it was a 5-day window. The day Ms. Pence slept with the other man was 4 to 5 days in the same time frame.
And then on August 7th is the date that the twins were born.
That don't mean that. That's a 5-day window.
It does. The doctor had said that the twins were conceived right around the 2nd of November, Your Honor. The twins were born almost completely full term. And if you count those dates back, it only leads to Mr. Patrick.
Mr. Patrick said he believed that Ms. Pence slept with the other man more than once. He even petitioned the court to administer a lie detector test to Ms. Pence. Mr. Patrick believes that one of the twins has ADHD. He said it doesn't run in his family. A doctor was introduced into the courtroom.
He's a little boy.
I understand
Mr.
he's
Patrick.
a little boy, and I hope he grows out of it someday. I believe he's ADHD or
There's
something.
nothing wrong with
autistic.
And so-
doesn't run in my family.
How do
It
you
doesn't
know
run in
that?
her-
How do you know that it doesn't
Well,
run
I've
in your
been
family?
with you for 10 years, honey.
It doesn't matter. You don't know everything, every single thing about your family history.
The doctor explained that it can be hereditary, but environmental conditions are still a factor. She said that it's not definitive that ADHD is passed down through the genes. Mr. Patrick argued that it's still a possibility, and it doesn't necessarily change his opinion on the issue.
Things had nothing to do with it, and things that the child was exposed to later.
What are the chances that one twin may have a learning disability, but the other does not?
Twins, if they're fraternal twins, which is this case here,
Yes, they are
no more closely related than any other sibling.
Ms. Pence said that they've been constantly quarreling. Mr. Patrick said that if the test comes out and he finds out he's not the father, he will leave the relationship. He said if it turns out that if he's the father, there will be no trust in the relationship. The results of the lie detector were read aloud. It showed that Ms. Pence was lying about sleeping with the other man multiple times. Only the DNA results can resolve this matter.
Mr. Patrick, you are the father.
I told you that you was the father. I told you.
Are you relieved, Mr. Patrick?
Oh, very much so.
Ms. Streeter brings Mr. Hartfield to court. She claims that Mr. Hartfield convinced her to have his child until she discovered that he was married. She said that Mr. Hartfield is now denying the paternity of the child in a bid to save his marriage. Mr. Hartfield, alongside his wife, were adamant that he's not the father of the child.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello.
This is the case of Streeter versus Hartfield.
Thank you, Jerome. Good day, everyone. Ms. Streeter, you claim that during your relationship with the defendant, he convinced you to get pregnant with his child, but what you didn't know is that he was a married man.
Ms. Streeter said she and Mr. Hartfield was dating for about 8 months. She said he told her to have his baby, that he never got the chance to raise a child of his own. Mr. Hartfield interrupted and said that Ms. Streeter was telling a bunch of lies. He said that it's possible that Ms. Streeter is thinking and referring to somebody else.
A long time we were in a relationship, a committed relationship with just me and him. And throughout the whole relationship, he wanted to have a baby. He said he didn't get to raise any of his. So we went to the hospital and we got the birth control taken out together. We went together.
Mr. Hartfield said when he met Ms. Streeter, he found her very attractive and decided to date her. He said he made her aware that he was already married. Ms. Streeter said that he's lying. Mr. Hartfield said that if he was lying, then how did Ms. Streeter got his wife's phone number and called her? He said it's because he was paying Ms. Streeter not to mention anything to his wife. The entire courtroom gasped.
And I even, did things to convince her that, okay, maybe I will be a guy that she could take a chance with as far as going out on dates.
But you were married.
Things. And I made sure that she that as
Oh
well.
my God.
I made that very clear.
He's lying.
In fact, Your Honor.
Ms. Streeter said she found out that Mr. Hartfield was married when he told her the name of one of his relatives, and she went on Facebook to stalk the person. She found his wife's page and she saw pictures of them together. She said Mr. Hartfield denied the whole thing until she decided to call the wife and tell her that her husband had been cheating on her for the past 8 months.
He's lying. That don't have nothing to do with why I called your wife.
At what point did you discover he was married? Let's get to that.
He had ended up telling me a relative's name, and I had went on Facebook and found the relative, then found Mrs. Hartfield's page.
Mr. Hartfield said Ms. Streeter was trying to extort him. He said after calling his wife, she threatened that she was going to report that he stole her car. He said he was in a situation that if he doesn't play Ms. Streeter childish games, he was going to get locked up or lose his wife.
But I'm telling you that is not true.
You 46-year-old married man, Mr. Hartfield. What game are you playing with a 22-year-old girl? I want to understand, what game is this you feel like you need to play with a 22-year-old girl?
Mrs. Hartfield took the stand. She said the whole ordeal was ridiculous. She said she found out about the affair from the text messages she received from Ms. Streeter. She said she confronted her husband about it. He waved it away that she was a nobody. She then proceeded to call Ms. Streeter. She said they had a decent conversation. She told she was pregnant and her husband was responsible.
I know she wants some results results too. So, Miss Hartfield, I can see when you were sitting there, this was very painful for you to hear.
This is ridiculous.
Did he fill you in on all of these details and the fact he's still texting this 22-year-old young woman?
No, he did not.
Mrs. Hartfield said she told Ms. Streeter that her husband wouldn't take care of her child because he didn't take care of theirs at home. The courtroom gasped. She said that was the last conversation she had with Ms. Streeter. Ms. Streeter said that Mr. Hartfield was there when she gave birth. She said he was excited. Mr. Hartfield denied being excited. Ms. Streeter said he initially signed the birth certificate before removing his name.
I'm not dealing with this. I don't want any part of this. And that was where I left it, and I haven't spoken to her since.
And so, Ms. Streeter, who was with you at the birth?
He was there when the baby was born. He was excited, like, you know, that's my baby, that's my boy. I never got to see none of my kids born. I want to be with you.
Ms. Streeter submitted the first birth certificate with Mr. Hartfield's name to the courtroom. Mr. Hartfield pointed out that his name was printed and that there were no signatures. He said it happened because Ms. Streeter was pressuring him to sign the birth certificate. Mr. Hartfield said Ms. Streeter told him he's not the only daddy. Ms. Streeter said he was lying.
Yes, I do. I have the original one when he first signed the birth certificate.
So his name is placed on the certificate of birth. So, Mr. Hartfield, you're a married man, but you're on this child's original birth certificate.
No, well, the name is printed.
A heated argument broke out between Ms. Streeter, Mr. Hartfield, and his wife. Mr. Hartfield even rebuked his wife at one point. Mr. Hartfield said he doesn't care about the outcome. The judge had to pacify Mr. Hartfield to watch his tone when talking to his wife. Mr. Hartfield said he wanted a divorce if he could. He revealed that she was his 7th wife. The entire courtroom gasped. Only the DNA results can stop this chaos.
Mr. Hartfield, you are the father.
Okay, that's okay.
Do you understand now what you just made a child with?
Right.
No, look at me. I don't know what he told you up until this point.